strategic planning meeting for the Board of County Commissioners to order for Monday, June 15th. Let the record reflect that we have all three commissioners present, plus Ms. Griddle, Mr. Ron Valencia. So while we're waiting for the GSI folks to join us, did you guys get the revised request from Second Harvest? So they've sent us a new request. It should be in your emails from Jason. And so what they've done is they took what they gave us last week and provided greater detail on it and stuff. So if you don't have it, I'll go ahead and break down the detail for you. Do you have it, Josh?
It came in about a half hour ago from Gina,
Right.
not from Jason.
Right.
So I have not gotten a chance to look at it. I just pulled it up here.
Well, the real crux of it is in the middle of the thing. We hope to earn your support for a total request of $2,189,500, broken down in the following manner: $1,750,000 for food purchases, $50,000 to cover the cost of PP&E supplies for the volunteers, $100,000 to cover the cost of single-use packaging materials, including drywall totes, boxes, plastic bags, $229,500 to cover increased cost in equipment, fuel, and third-party freight, and then $60,000 to cover the increased cost of 2 drivers for additional food deliveries and pantries, yada, 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 all through the end of December 31, 2020. And so the total of all of those comes to $2,189,500. And if you take off of that the $145,644, the CDBG funds we've already allocated, that gets the total request for Second Harvest to $2,043,856 is the revised number based upon this letter dated June 9th. So just wanted to, we asked for more detail. I'm not sure that this answered the questions you wanted, but it certainly gave us more detail. Maybe more than we wanted, I don't know. So anyway, you're on mute, Mary.
It's just interesting because, I mean, he came with a whole, I'd have to go back and listen to the audio because, I mean, this is very different than what he talked about.
Yep.
So basically it's asking us to pay for all the COVID-related items on their behalf, you know, which I can see and not see. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I wish he was, you know, just up. I mean, not that he's not being upfront, but I mean, I you know, I don't know. It's interesting. I guess that's the best way to say.
What was the total dollar amount asked when he was in last week? Does anyone remember?
I was hoping I had that letter with me, and I can't find it right off the top.
Let me see. I think it took some additional math because he gave like a month total.
The one was 10,700, I believe.
Yeah, hang on. Let me find it here.
That's the number that sticks in my mind.
It's 10,700 at a monthly. That's a monthly cost. 74,900. And then if we did the additional drivers and all of that, then that would be 347,500 to manage increased food handling needs safely and efficiently during the crisis and into the extended recovery period. Because, I mean, partly we need to know what they're getting, you know, because they said they had the USDA Coronavirus Food Assistance Program to secure and distribute truckloads of fresh produce and other bulk perishable food distribution. So this was then the cold storage part of it to handle that. So yeah, his new request has a lot more questions.
Yeah, so on the latest letter, on the back side of it, the last paragraph, it says, a study recently released by the Feeding America Project Spokane food insecurity rates amid the pandemic could reach up to 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 3 children. Before the pandemic, 64,790 people, including 21,660 children, did not have adequate access to nutrition food to live a healthy life.
Very good, thanks.
A new study forecast unsettling growth and local food insecurity. Approximately 90,000 people in Spokane County and food insecurity in 2020, a 40% increase. This includes 32,000 children, 48% increase. So numbers are growing based upon the letter. Yeah, Gina just gave me the letter that he gave us the last time, dated May 28th, and you're right, it's 10,700 a month was what was projected last time, and then some other costs for equipment and everything like that. Now we've got the revised new request. So I'm not sure that he didn't create more questions than he did answers.
Right.
What would you like me to go back asking for?
Do we have him call in tomorrow?
Why don't we have him call in now?
Oh, sure, if he's available.
Well, he's got a phone number here, 252-6262. Get it while it's hot. We all still remember what we're talking about.
I'm fine with that.
Are you okay with that, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, no, go for it.
I'll call him right now.
So Carrie, when you talk to him, is Carrie's in the room, right?
Yes, I'm right here.
So when you talk to him,
When I called him last week after commissioners gave me direction to get further information because the first letter was so vague. And one of the questions that you had was that he came up with also requests that isn't in the first letter about some land and some other things. So when I talked to Jason then sent me to Drew, who I really mainly worked with on this, and said, really, you need to provide the commissioners more detail about what you're really looking for and why it's important. And I think that's when he came up with this. I just got it about when I got back to the office.
I look forward to catching up with you soon.
From your meeting, and then I sent it on to Gina and she sent it on to you. So mainly it was Drew who I was working with that came up with a lot more of the figures. What I had indicated to him, what you as commissioners probably would be interested in is as far as how many people are going to be expected to use the food bank. That's some of the information on the last paragraph I asked them to provide to you guys, because I didn't think that you had enough detail in the first one about really what they were asking for. Because at one point in the middle of here, they asked for 374,000, and then there was a 10,000 amount in here as well. So it was really confusing. So
right, well, and I think partly last time when they came in too, that was part of what he was asking for, and then he went on to talk about, purchasing cold storage, that they need to do all that, which I think we could purchase.
Smart about the cold
We
storage.
talked about like $250,000 a month for food purchasing. I mean, that's why it's just, there was a lot of additional things that I'd almost have to go back and listen to that audio.
right. So that's why I think when I talked to Drew, I indicated that the commissioners were really needed to know what their exact ask was. And I think that that's what this has been the result of, is really to put some parameters behind it. Because the first ask that you see in May 28th was really vague, and that didn't include the land purchase that he spoke of that the commissioners had informed me about. So when I called Jason after the meeting last week and asked him to put it, some parameters around it, I spoke with him and said, that it just was really unclear what Second Harvest was asking for. So as a result, then he put me on to Drew. I gave Drew, some direction about what is it and why are they asking for this? And that's what I think the result that you're seeing now.
So I think from my standpoint, the conclusion I'm reaching real quick is I still don't know what the ask is. If the latest letter is the ask, then we're looking at about $2,043,000. Assuming that everything in the last letter is what they're looking for. So
Yeah, I guess, I would just want to be asking more questions. Why it was one amount one day and now they've determined that they're going to ask for, I guess, everything.
Mhm.
So, just how it went from a much smaller amount to a huge amount. And I just want to make sure that they don't have other sources of income that are coming in that are already taking care of that. Because Carrie, we'd still be under the same rationale that we're not, what they had budgeted for versus, we're still on a reimbursement basis. Or, because we, based on their budget, I mean, I guess that's part of what I'd want to see is this then what they anticipate it's all COVID related versus what their other budget was. Does that make sense?
So the increase, commissioners, that kind of what you're talking about, the difference in the increase.
Yeah, the 1.75 million for food purchases to cover, that is like, it's what were they anticipating versus what, and what they would need, what's additional. And then I'd also want to be asking, then are there other funds? Because, my thought was, they talk about in the previous letter, CARES funding will allow us to maximize opportunities like the new USDA Coronavirus Food Assistance Program to secure and distribute truckloads of fresh produce and other bulk perishable food donations. So, I want to make sure that we're not, since they're getting other federal dollars, we're not supplementing those other federal dollars or adding, double giving them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're asking what happened to the CFAP program,
Yes.
the coronavirus program that's listed in here. Is that still out there? You're also asking about the difference between their typical budget and what the difference is with the increase due to more people accessing the food bank, is what I'm hearing, right?
Right. I'd want to be able to verify those before, to know the true need. It's that auditor in me.
So, I think all of us clearly want to support. We just don't know.
You just have more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you, the commissioners, like me to work with Gina in setting up some time tomorrow, or maybe Dean and Jason to call in? Do you have time tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
We've got time in the afternoon.
Yeah, we're loading up pretty good though.
Yeah, it's starting to fill fast.
Yeah.
I'll try to jump out and call Drew and
Okay.
Jason and set something up this afternoon.
Okay.
And do we have a time available, Gina, then?
Not until about 4:45, or Larry,
Tomorrow?
sorry, Jim, can we cut in front of, we'll put it at 4:15 and then have you,
Oh,
Do
because
you
Larry
want that
Haskell wants to
4:30?
come in 4:15 with Chris on with
so
Chris
we
and
can do
Lexi.
4:15 and then Jim will just have you do your executive session at 4:30 if that works.
4:30. You want to move Larry to 4:30?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll check. That'll work.
4:15 sounds good.
Oh, yeah, let's hold that for them, and when I get done here, I'll run over and I'll check.
Well, but if we get through, it's 2:15 now. If we get through this next presentation quicker than expected, we can call Second Harvest like we just tried. He may pick up a little later today, and we can take care of it this afternoon.
Yeah,
So
we blocked out 2 hours for the GSI et al. Group. So I'm going to be surprised if we get it done for less than 2, but who knows? But if we could always call them this afternoon. But I guess if they We just had him standing by this afternoon, just in case. Probably be sometime between 4:30 and 5.
This afternoon. I can go,
Yeah.
I can go grab his stepper.
That's a possibility. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to be able to deal with it and dispense with it if we could. So, Jerry, you had something else?
The Zoom, I'm not sure where this came from actually, on design.
Oh,
Oh, that's part of this afternoon discussion.
Okay, all right. Then I'm good. I did too have something. I just wanted to point out to the board that the Commute Smart Northwest has named Tim Hansen, our Tim Hansen, has been selected as Commute Smart Northwest Champion Business Leader for the second quarter of 2020. So that's pretty cool.
well, let him know we'd have a party for him, but we can't.
We can't.
You know,
We all have to walk to it. Too far to commute.
yeah, we wanted to party, but just couldn't do it. So,
Oh, they sent that out. And for anybody that's going to overlap on the on the COVID recovery group meeting, we changed our location to the Spokane County Water Resource Center at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Right.
Bring your laptop with you.
right.
And is there Zoom available to Zoom into that call?
I believe there is.
Is there what?
Zoom.
Yes. Yeah, there is.
Okay, so that Zoom needs to get, link needs to get sent out.
Yes. I'm
Yes.
not so sure it hasn't been sent out already.
It has
I
been
think,
in
yeah,
that,
it's part of that.
It has been sent out.
to all the
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney should have received that email as well.
It has the meeting and the Zoom meeting and everything else right here.
It came out at 1:45, the email.
Today.
It looks like there's over 85 people on the email list. So
That's the same list that,
it went to a lot of people.
yes, it's gone to a
Okay.
lot.
But
But it just came out today at 1:45.
1:45 today, yep.
Okay.
the only ones that are participating, everybody is a spectator except for those that are participating as a result of the MOU. So we'll control the conversation to those that are part of the MOU. If everybody can be a spectator, but just those that are part of the MOU will be able to talk. So, okay,
Got it.
all right. So,
End of my story.
right.
And,
yeah.
and with that, I should say, so Mayor Wick and myself will just be on till 9 o'clock, and then we're on the Central Valley School reopening.
Okay, well, we're gonna try and push it to where we can get it done by 9, so you won't miss anything. So
Okay.
we'll do our best to try and wrap it up.
Okay.
So Alicia, I see that you're on, and so go to mute.
Yeah, hello
There
everybody.
you are. So I don't know whether you want to wait and write until 2:30 or whether you've got your group, or this is your show. So yeah, I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you do all the magic in terms of
go.
presentation. I think we've all received the emails for the presentations, but we can share whatever documents you might have as well. So
Thank you for having us. And I think, the question is, I think we were going to put a PowerPoint deck up, and Kara's happy to share that and manage it if the Zoom will allow us, or if we need that, if it needs to happen. There you go.
And so just to confirm for Josh and Mary, you should have gotten the presentation. So did you get it okay, or do we need to send it to you again?
When did it come? Was it today?
Yeah.
It was about 11, right, 11:20.
Oh, wait. This is when mine showed up.
Okay, I see it. 12:10. Yep, I got it.
From Kara Kuhn.
Yep,
Yes.
that's right.
All right, I'm
You've got
gonna try
Mary?
to do this.
Mary, you have it? You're on mute, Mary. You're on mute, Mary.
She said she was looking for it right now.
Oh, okay.
All right, this is being silly with my second screen, so I'm going to share it this way. There we go. All right. So first and foremost, thank you to the commissioners and the county for having us on today to discuss the partnership proposal that we put forward in regards to support for our regional businesses. And on the call today, we have both the executives and the marketing leads for our organizations, should we have one, from GSI, from Visit Spokane, from the Inlander, from Downtown Spokane Partnership, from the Greater Spokane Valley Chamber, and from the West Plains Chamber. So as we move through the conversation today, we have all of those representatives. We also have Dean Feldemeyer, who's Visit Spokane's board chair, is also on. So we are all here to answer questions and have a discussion and dialogue with you in regards to the proposal that we've put forward. The first slide that Kara has up is just around the agenda of how we're going to kind of step through our time today. And again, I'll leave it to the commissioners. You can interrupt us throughout with questions, or we can move through the different components and answer questions at the end, whatever you're most comfortable with. We'll work with you in that regard as we continue to deliver in this virtual setting. So the first thing is just, I know Kara also included again the initial proposal that we submitted a week and a half ago to all of you. And so just at a high level, as an overview perspective, we'll be speaking to two of the primary components today, which is investment in a small business relief program. And that was a $10 million ask put forward to the commissioners, as well as then a series of consumer confidence and regional marketing campaigns for a total of $4.5 million of investment. And we'll speak to each of those components as they're layered together. Additionally, and I just want to thank the commissioners at the top for your investment in the PPE and sanitation supply effort. That was an additional piece we emphasized in our proposal, and then put forward an additional, more specific proposal around PPE. And so thank you for moving that forward. Cindy Wendell, who's been leading our business recovery work, gave a great update to the GSI Board of Trustees today. It's just excellent progress and really important in meeting the needs. And then the other piece we emphasized in our proposal was just this continued importance of addressing our regional testing capacity as we move forward and move through the phases of reopening. All four of these items are issues that have been identified consistently and constantly throughout the existence of our regional economic recovery and resiliency task force that was stood up as a part of the business recovery response when COVID arrived. So we'll step through that today and look forward to questions and dialogue. And I just I can't underscore my thanks to all of the partners that are on this call with you, and really deeply want the commissioners to know, if all else at the end of COVID, if one thing of a great success to celebrate is the partnership and collaboration that's come amongst these organizations, and that we have worked alongside each other for years, but truly have moved forward as a connected unit, ensuring that we're supporting businesses regardless of location, regardless of size, and regardless of affiliation, and that our commitment is to ensuring that every business has the supports that they need to move through and into our economic recovery and rebound. And so everything that we bring forward today is in that spirit of coordination and collaboration and partnership that we know is critical for how we move forward. So with that, I'll pause for just a second to see if there's any questions at the top from any of the commissioners before we delve into a little bit more of the specifics. Okay, so the first thing we want to jump into is the first piece of the proposal was specific to a request for funding for a small business relief program, a grant program.
And Lance and I are going to speak to a few different components. We thought it was important and overarching as we step into this area to talk about the Working Washington Small Business Emergency Grant, which was really the foundation for how we've thought about and shaped the ask and some of the ideas we want to bring forward to discuss with you today. As you likely know, GSI as the ADO was charged with administering that grant program on behalf of Spokane County. We're utilizing that $10 million ask, being able to have the significant amount of data and metrics that we've been able to cull from all of those applications. But we built into that ask, there's no request for administrative costs into that $10 million, but just ensuring overall community need and investment to our small businesses throughout the region. Through the Working Washington Grant, we received over 1,800 applications over a course of about a 10-day period. And between the middle, I'm going to get the dates wrong, so I'm not going to get that to you this moment because I don't have it in front of me. But just in less than 10 days, over 1,800 applications. And that amounted to over $18.5 million of request. And we ended up receiving just shy of $600,000 of investment back into Spokane County from the state for that grant program, which funded 61 of those applications. As a piece of the process that the Department of Commerce utilized, we were able to submit 120 applications as the ADO. And then we had a handful of technical assistance partners in the region that were also able to submit applications. So that was AHANA, SIMBA, the IMBA, and then Sister Sky were the 4 technical assistance partners in Spokane County. And so cumulatively, we had 166 applications out of the over 1,800 that were reviewed by the Department of Commerce. And so if I go to the next slide, Kara, this just gives you a snapshot of both the breakdown of the applications, the significant amount of need. You can see there, I'm going to go on the version on my computer because my eyes are not that small or not that good. You can see the breakdown is by zip code, where the percentage of each of the applications from throughout the region came. The highest being within the 99201, and then down from there. You can also see a breakdown. One of the big aspects of this Working Washington Grant was to support minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, and tribal-owned businesses. And so you can see what percentage of applications of that pool we received from those businesses. And then the other big piece, and this was a bit tricky because they weren't required to fill out every field. One of the things, this was a very manual process that was put in place. They weren't all required to check the box as far as what industry sector they fell into, but that gives you a good feel for which industry sectors submitted applications for need. The other thing just to keep in mind as we shift to talking about a go forward is that all of these businesses had to have 10 employees or less, and sole proprietors were eligible, but nonprofits were excluded from this grant application process. So I'll stop there for a minute to see if you have any questions on the background. We just wanted to use that as a framing because we think that what we really have in place is a system. This gives you some of the data around need and all of those kinds of things, but one of the things that we're working with our partners and an external grant review committee was putting together a really solid process that we were able to review grant applications and be able to put forward quality applications that were also, for no better term, kind of blind to the review process, so that we were not using any specific opinions of grant reviewers or any of our organizations to review, down to the final decision-making process, which required get a tie for the 120th application. And we had a employee with no idea what this grant program was draw that name out of the hat. So anyhow, that gives you just a sense of grave need, and we continue to see that as we begin to circle around and award those 61 companies with those dollars. So what I want to do is shift to Lance and have him talk a little bit about what we're thinking about for options in working with the county around a grant review or grant program. Lance?
Thanks, Alicia. Again, Lance Beck, President and CEO of the Greater Spokane Valley Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, commissioners, for having us on today. As we look at this program concept, I think there's there's a couple ways we could go with this, and it's evident throughout the state right now that we're seeing these begin to take formation. And so again, as we present today, I think we're open to your feedback through this process on the methodology at which establishing the criteria to these grants. And so even up until just an hour ago, I received an email from Commerce where they've worked with OFM to establish that these could be in the state's ruling from Commerce. Now they're looking at grants as being available on a cash grant basis instead of a reimbursement grant basis, which is a new determination based on the eligibility. We know that the guidance document is the same. However, there's an added layer for the dollars that have gone to our individual cities inside the county. And so looking at this, we do feel strongly that there's some importance for the county to lead in this aspect due to the nature of it could also drive what programs stand up in our individual cities as we go through this process. One element of that being that we want to eliminate the business confusion factor that falls into play here when we're looking at having all these different grant programs potentially come to the market here. And so an element here is that if we establish an overarching countywide grant program that would be applicable to any business inside the county, one of the key components of this is looking at the huge need we saw in that first round. Now looking at that being an early April ask when we had the Working Washington Small Business Recovery Grant program. Obviously, there has been new support that has come forward. There's also been businesses who have gone another 2 months here without any support. And so establishing what criteria we have for the basis of being eligible for the grant is going to be a key. Many of these programs around the state so far are pulling together the notion that they're getting more additional criteria being on the front end to eliminate businesses who have received additional funding. And so as we look at that, that's something like if you receive PPP funding, you might be ineligible for these business safe start relief grants. The reasoning for that is that it also creates a marketing play on the program itself, so that we're ensuring that the recovery funds that are going out through this program are hitting the businesses that need it the absolute most, because they're also the businesses that have not received cash assistance through other federal programs. And so again, I think we didn't put a formal program in front of you because we also want to have your input on the criteria as to which businesses and how wide we could stretch this program in the county. We do think the county being a lead in having the Safe Start Relief Grant program that our other communities could also build off of and fill in any gaps that might be left would be the best place to start. And so the level of need based on the $10 million ask is pulled from our lack of businesses who receive funding in the first wave of the grant application. To reiterate Alicia's statement earlier, we have a really wonderful process that we've built and put in place that is almost turnkey to be able to get this grant program off the ground. Obviously, we might have to add in a few questions. We might need to remove a few questions, but the grading process and having it be based across all of our organizations for how that was developed, a lot of time and energy went into that to make sure that it was a fair and equitable process. And so that is ready to go. It's something that's been built, and we could really get this going right away and market it to the community really quickly. And so I think that's one of the key elements that I can't state the importance of anymore. And so I don't want to go any further on that, I think, for this point, because the program's not built. The way we could facilitate it is built. The criteria would be up for discussion here. And again, our goal is that we hear consistently on a daily basis from business that they need support and they need it now. The speed at which we could execute this program is one of its greatest strengths because businesses need it now, not in 90 days. And so every day that we sit is another day a business can close, and we're seeing that in the media daily. So open to questions, comments on that, and turn it back over to Alicia as well.
Thanks, Lance. I guess we'll take a lead from the commissioners and pause that if you'd like to discuss each component separately, or would you like us to kind of run through the overall proposal and then come back around?
So I'll yield to Josh and Mary. What would be your pleasure?
I'm fine with hearing the presentation first and saving questions to the end.
Mary?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. Then we'll keep moving through the presentation and then look forward to circling back on that. So then kind of transitioning, making a pivot from the first bucket of the ask, which was the small business grant funding of 10 million, is to the second piece, which is around a series of partner consumer confidence and regional marketing campaigns. And I mentioned this in my opening comments just around the partnership amongst these organizations. And I think this is an example that plays into the strengths of these organizations that you have here within the region, as being able to reach these audiences and really leverage these shared campaigns. What we're going to step through is a whole series. We've took to heart some of the feedback, so we're going to have each of the different entities talk about their components that are part of the overall $4.5 million ask. And knowing at the core for us, it's around how we're able to stimulate the regional economy throughout the county, and also an awareness to the fact that we're a shared commerce area and how reliant our surrounding counties are on the economy of Spokane County, as we think about building consumer confidence and then marketing the region from a tourism and economy standpoint. You'll see as we move through that this is a layered campaign approach that will build off of each other throughout, and that at the end of the day, we're really focused on how we both do regional efforts, but also micro campaigns that really get at every main street, every neighborhood, and every community, that we know that restarting the economy and growing the economy is going to take a combination of all of those different layered approaches, that there isn't a single one shoe fits all as we think about the reach and the effort to stimulate growth back into the region. So we will also be sharing kind of high level the campaigns we kick off. In some cases, and you'll see this, they're ready to go in many ways to begin and can be built off of, and then would run in some cases that they'd extend into early 2021. We are aware that certainly the funds have to be utilized before then, but the reach of the campaigns would extend beyond the end of the year. And then you'll also see in there, and Toby will round on at this at the end, but there's a specific ask for a marketing grant option as well, because as organizations, we've been working on this together, but we also know that there are other partner organizations that are well positioned and better positioned to reach some of our specific communities and neighborhoods. And so creating a small grant fund that they'd be able to access to be able to reach their audiences and help be part of rebuilding our economy. So you'll see each of those pieces as we move through. And so what I'd like to do is hand it off first to Kara Kuhn, who's our VP of Communications and Public Affairs at GSI, to speak to the Consumer Confidence Campaign. I'll also point out for the commissioners as we make this transition that you received the PowerPoint, the original proposal, and then there was a whole package of PDFs that gives you much more detailed information about each of the campaigns that we're going to be speaking to. And so each of our partners and ourselves will be utilizing those tools of information to share with you today. So with that, I'll hand it over to Kara.
Thank you, Alicia. Can everybody see the screen well? I tried to enlarge it so you can read it. I won't be going through and reading all of this. I really just want to talk through what GSI's plan looks like. We're calling it a consumer confidence campaign. And the goal of really this consumer confidence campaign is pretty simple. We're looking to inspire people to want to follow the rules so that we can all succeed. And as we transition into, we are in phase 2, and knowing we have other phases we want to get to, we must help businesses and consumers understand that we are not returning to normal, but rather we are establishing a new normal as we speak. We must help our community citizens feel empowered in the steps that they can take to keep themselves, their colleagues, and their families safe. We also need to create a new social norm for interacting with businesses and supporting our local economy. And through this strategic communications, we will reinforce the behaviors that will help our region do business safely, continue to flatten the curve, and save lives. In many ways, this effort is about connection. It's about our shared responsibility and community pride. It's also about sending a message that we can safely reopen our economy while we put consumer and employee safety first. Which really, and what I want you to think about is at the end of when we get into phase 4, really what we're looking to do is Spokane could really be, we could market our safety, our safe reopening, and it really can become an economic development advantage. That's really what we are eyeing for this. The objectives of the campaign are to promote safe and healthy practices for employees and consumers to adopt, to build and inspire confidence for employers to open their doors, employees to return to work, and customers to return to the marketplace. We want to inspire individual responsibility in the reopening of this region. We want to create feelings of hope and positivity based on real progress. And we want to unite our region's leadership and business community in our response to represent all audiences and perspectives. So who are those audiences we're looking for? We're really looking, our primary audience is all employees and all customers of any organization or business. Yes, that's a lot of people. So our secondary audience is the message carriers, really are all of our business owners and our regional leadership. We really felt strongly about the tone of this being inspiring and empowering and energetic. We need to inspire people to want to follow the rules, which isn't an easy task, so that all of us can win. That shared win looks like a few things, with different parts being more important to different people. So those shared wins look like keeping everyone safe, as many people safe as possible from COVID, allowing our communities and economy to recover. And really, bottom line, avoiding another stay-at-home order or a pause in moving forward, and not progressing to phase 3 and beyond. I believe it was just this morning that Oregon has paused moving forward in their recovery based on number of new cases. We don't want to do that. So we feel it's important to get ahead of this. So really GSI's plan is, and I'll scroll down here so you can see. It's about spreading kindness and not COVID. It's simple. And really what this will reiterate and hone in on is those activities that we know, and they've been known throughout this entire pandemic response, is washing hands, staying 6 feet apart, and wearing masks. And so I'm not sure if some of you have, part of an initial push on this, GSI created the I Wear a Mask for You campaign. So I'm not sure if you've seen that. I'm happy to share that at the end of this, but it's preempting and prompting the mask conversation and who needs to use them and where, and how do we get more in our community to use that. So really the GSI plan is spread kindness, not COVID. Created by a partnership of businesses, this campaign helps to establish a new set of community norms to keep everyone safer as we return to public life. The messages link community values of kindness, compassion, and respect with behaviors that limit the spread of coronavirus. At this point, I gave you a little snapshot. The creative is complete. We have the creative ready to go, and that was donated in kind by DH. They were instrumental in providing that donation so we could get a head start on being prepared to launch this. For any additional creative, including some tweaks to current assets that all of our partners still have, creating new assets, video or audio, radio, that type of thing, we will go out for an RFP, but our starting point is our creative is complete. So our campaign tactics, getting down to it, is really, it's very broad. We'll have a partner toolkit, meaning a digital toolkit we can send to businesses that want prepackaged social media content, graphics and text, printable graphics, and all pieces and parts that they can print and use in their own business. It includes social media boosted marketing, which is incredibly effective. Traditional and digital advertising includes streaming, video, current and adjusted assets that we all have. direct mail, email, web content, and out-of-home print materials. So meaning billboards, vinyls, light projector on buildings, pole and other banners in our downtowns and other core areas, stanchions, signage, etc. We're thinking stanchion signage at businesses and community areas like malls and things like that, where there's a lot of people passing by. So we will show too. This is the recommended spend for GSI's portion. And this is county, and I want to just point out a couple things. Visit Spokane will show something similar, and I think Greater Spokane Valley Chamber shows something similar as well. Much of this, much of the traditional TV, radio, print, out of home, and production costs, those can be paid for up front. The pieces and parts that would go into next year that are paid weekly and so can't be costs that are in this year are the social, Facebook and Google display, those types of things. But everything else we can pay for up front and have extended into next year. So the total on this is the 724.4. Our original budget there was 725. And so this gives you, I know you can't see this, I can't either, but this is the calendar through the end of the year and when we would run which piece and part. And I'm happy to send that as a follow-up in an Excel that shows all of these together. So I will stop there. And show you some of the other creatives. We intend to have available static stickers for our businesses. Very, very lighthearted. This is what you'll see in our space and kind of the expectation that customers will use that too. So posters, here's a, there we go. You can see that a little bit better. Yeah, so I'll end there. I think that's my 5 minutes.
Thanks, Kara. And then we will transition over to our partners at Visit Spokane. Meg and Jamie.
Great, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Kara, thank you for that great overview of the groundwork that will need to be laid before we're able to go out on our regional campaign and welcome visitors back to Spokane. Again, my name is Meg Winchester. I'm the president and CEO of Visit Spokane. And thank you so much for the opportunity to present this campaign. Just to give you a little background, year-to-date hotel occupancy is down 53.3% and revenue is down 72.5% in the Spokane region compared to last year. Those are some pretty big numbers. This directly collides with our sales tax and general fund revenues. This has also resulted in the cutting of the Visit Spokane budget, both in personnel and in activities, to 1/3 of our original 2020 budget. Over the past couple months, we've been keeping a close eye on all the travel industry trends and what's going on in our state and both nationwide. The following trends indicate that it is time for us to launch a campaign. These are the most current that we have been watching. More Americans feel ready to travel and are exhibiting strong conviction about their upcoming travel plans, although safety remains an integral part of their trip decision-making process. The majority of American travelers continue to opt for beach, outdoor, and rural type experiences for their next trips. Very important for us. When making travel plans, American travelers are now looking directly to travel providers and travel content producers rather than sources like the CDC. Perhaps an additional display of their confidence about navigating the coronavirus situation. And younger generations are likelier to use a diverse set of social media and digital tools for their research for their next trip, while baby boomers are more likely to concentrate their travel research on web searches. And Jamie's going to speak a little bit to that as we move forward. With these trends in mind, Visit Spokane has been working on a regional recovery campaign since March. We know that people are ready to travel. And through our collaboration with our partners here today, we have designed a layered local and regional campaign to safely welcome our visitors back to the region. And it's worth noting that no one is more efficient and inspiring people to travel than us. In fact, nationwide statistics show that for every $1 that is spent on tourism marketing, there's a $7 return to the destination. I just wanted to give you some statistics on where we're sitting right now and how we can move forward. I'm going to turn it over now to our Chief Marketing Officer, Jamie Rand, to tell you a little bit about the campaign.
Hi, everyone. Like Meg said, my name is Jamie Rand. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Visit Spokane. I want to thank everyone for allowing us to present today. There's been a lot of work done over the last several months, and hopefully I can add some detail into the plan. Essentially, when we realized the scope and the gravity of the pandemic, our leadership team, first and foremost, clawed back our budget to be able to remain sustainable. But also we started retooling our message and kind of reimagining what our creative would be. We knew we would be called on to market once this was over. We also knew that it wouldn't line up with our financial situation at the time very well, so we had to really rethink things. The campaign focuses on markets, and that's what you're seeing in front of you right now. This is kind of our customer segments. It focuses on markets between 150 to 250 miles from Spokane. We have data that suggests that since COVID has started, actually, there has been an increase of people coming from that range. But it's important to note that was part of our original target prior to this. However, we will also be focusing on markets in DMAs like Boise, Missoula, Yakima, the Tri-Cities, Portland, Seattle, and once our border opens up, we will focus on Calgary. If we go to the creative, Kara. So the creative seems silly, and it is. It is intended to be a little bit whimsical. One of the creative advantages of using illustration work is that we can very, very easily communicate complex and sometimes difficult to hear messages through our animated characters, which actually has been found to resonate more with people. For whatever reason, when you put humans in ads, people don't like them as much. So our creative is whimsical, and it is intended to be fun. It is also focused on another piece of industry data that we have received. Right now, the sentiment tips to about 30% of Americans are considering road trip travel. And so having a top 20 things to do, most of it is of a road trip travel itinerary is focused on outdoors things. We also anticipate that the top 20 list will be fluid, meaning it will change regularly depending on the season, because we intend this campaign obviously to last longer than a couple of months. Does anyone have any questions yet? Okay, so let's move on then to the landing page. The landing page serves one very, very obvious tactic, and it is basically to sort inbound traffic. And then once you've found the thing that you most want to do, it will send people to the page on visitspokane.com that we have built out for them. That is equipped with local businesses to go see if you want to do this activity. Locations, times, all the good things that are in an itinerary that you need to know about to go do something will be on those pages. So moving on to our media plan, this is what Kara had mentioned earlier. Essentially what you're looking at here in this large PDF is a layered media plan that's categorized by two ways. You can see that the county buys, which is the GSI buy, is in purple, and the regional buys are in red, and those are the Visit Spokane buys. One of the obvious tactics here worth noting is that the red campaigns will always start after the purple campaigns. This is for a very specific reason. Obviously, we need the local market to be activated. We need businesses to be open and practicing safe practices for us to confidently bring visitors to Spokane County. I had a colleague that always says you can't market the dream and service the nightmare. And to ensure that, the idea is that GSI's local activation campaign starts moving businesses in the right direction, so then we can have people invite people over. The logic behind executing a joint media plan is actually very simple. Buying media is like buying any other commodity. The more you buy, the less it costs. And so we know that there will be significant cost savings in going in on a joint media buy with GSI. The media timeline takes into consideration the immediacy of the need for businesses to reopen, the availability of advertising assets, and our collective expert knowledge of the greater Spokane market and how it fits into the rest of the world, both regionally and national. So that is what we had. If there's any questions about the media plan or any of the details, I would be happy to answer them at the end. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Jamie, did you want to make the handoff to Jer at the Inlander?
Yeah, Jared, if you'd like to take it from here, that'd be great.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, commissioners, for having us on today. Means a lot to us. The Inlanders portion of this goes back quite a ways. And I think where we got started was just looking at the community, seeing the challenge that affected businesses had, and kind of identifying that we felt like Inlander could do something about it. And then I started connecting with people in the private sector that I know. And ultimately that led to communicating with GSI, Visit Spokane, other organizations. And then over time we built out what we felt was a really valuable portion of outreach for businesses. And fundamentally, local and small businesses need an increase in awareness and activity to support their recovery, but they're challenged to build that awareness. This project is a business promoting effort, and the whole idea is that there'd be no cost for businesses to participate. The challenge that is that we ended up realizing we need to talk to a lot of businesses. So we've actually committed to talking to 1,200 businesses, and we have the capacity to do it. And our funding request is $720,000 to do that. I think one of the biggest things is working with partner organizations. I can't tell you how amazing it's been to work with the teams at all the different organizations that are listed there. But one of the things that was shared was it was important to have private investment into the program along with the public entities being involved. And so the pledged team right now is STCU, Visit Spokane, DSP, West Plains Chamber, Spokane Valley Chamber, the Inlander, Washington Trust Bank, GSI, and Avista. And then we anticipate going out and finding other partners to join once the full scope is understood. And we actually Inland Imaging's already pledged to be involved with the campaign. So we feel like the community's ready to step up and support these small businesses. I referenced that Inlander was able to step in and make an impact of this kind. And I think in a lot of ways, we're sort of built for this. We very much so see ourselves, we started back in 1993. And, for probably the first 10 years, it was kind of just stay in business, do everything you could to kind of stay alive. And then eventually, I think we realized we wanted to be the community media. We want to represent the community. We want to support the community. And so we've taken on tasks and challenges. And we have a lot of different programs that we run. And a lot of it is talking to the small businesses in the region and supporting their efforts or working with nonprofits. We do things like drink local, shop local. We have campaigns behind those things. One of the big things that we launched, and actually that was with Visit Spokane all the way back in 2012, was Inlander Restaurant Week. And that's a good example of partnering with community organizations, partnering with individual businesses. I think last year we had 120 some restaurants involved. And so kind of coordinating with all those businesses, having them share their information to the community. And then one of the biggest things is they all partner together. All the restaurants, when we first started, it was kind of funny in the early going, they didn't really want to support each other and promote each other. But now, in 2020, 2019, they're all about it. They all want to promote each other. They all want to support each other. And we think we can extend that kind of concept to a community campaign like this. The strategy that we have built out is targeting the regional community through recovery guides. And actually, going back to Restaurant Week for a second, part of what we built out there was, custom websites, custom emails. We do event guides. I mean, there's no exception for the event guide. We know that has an impact on people. And so what we looked at in building out this campaign was focusing on things that we know we can do well. which is telling the stories of the Inland Northwest, telling the stories of small businesses, connecting individually with small businesses. And so we're really trying to kind of look at, how does Inlander connect with these people, these individuals out in these businesses, and then how can we help support them? And so the goal is to target developing recovery guides, but our first goal is to connect with each of the businesses individually and gather their information, and then find ways to share that with the community. And we've built out some different programs for how to go about doing that. And then we also would come in and promote through every media channel we have available to us as the Inlander, and then also go out and work with partners that we have in the community and ask for more support to get the information about the businesses out there. And I think that, Spokane has a way of sort of expanding and stepping into things. And I believe that as this builds out, if people see this is the way that we can help support businesses, they'll jump on board. And I think we've seen that a lot with Restaurant Week over the years. And then on the second page, so we have really specific approaches to how we want to do these things. And I think I'll actually just read the bullet points on this one. We want to make a contact individually with each business and then have an ongoing communications plan with them. We want to provide toolkit. You heard Kara talk about a toolkit. We could be a resource to providing that toolkit out. We can put people onto Inland Biz Strong, and other partners might have information that they can share with businesses to help support the recovery. We provide a platform for ongoing communications so they can keep sharing information with us that we can then share back out to the community through, again, a multitude of different approaches. In recovery guides, each participating business would get a 1/6 page. It's where they can custom promote what they're doing. It would let people know what community they're from. They could talk about some business structure. We'd have icons that would let them know, do they have curbside pickup? Do they have takeout? Different things like that. And then content development support is one of the big pieces. That's things that we can use on social media. So we would have these recovery guides would have different sections and information in there that's compelling. And that's kind of what Inlander does, is we make compelling stories of why people should go out and check these places out. And then website features, social media outreach, and other digital properties. So all this information would be available online as time goes on. And then again, we would ask the participating businesses to support it so that we can expand that. And again, there's no charge to participants. The value of the services provided to each participant is approximately $2,500. So the Recovery Guide series: restaurant, shopping, entertainment, and drink local. Those are the focal points of this program. We want to connect with 600 businesses and drink local organizations. A lot, No Lie's doing great. I'm sure they could be doing better, but it's like they're out there a lot. There's a lot of small drink locals that need help and support. And so this is an opportunity to do that, but more so, the restaurants. Our goal might even be to go back to back to back with launching restaurant guides on the community. We would publish up to 50,000 copies in the Inlander, and then an additional 25,000 copies of each guide. And we know these work because that's kind of day in, day out what we do as Inlander, and people expect to find this kind of information there. Probably what I think is one of the most compelling pieces is it lets people know, like, this is the way that you as an individual can give back and get connected to your community, to go out, support these restaurants, support these shops, and then at an appropriate time support these entertainment venues, and just create an awareness around that. And so it accomplishes a number of different things. The recovery guides give us a chance to share safe business practices, like from Spokane Regional Health, GSI, and others. Gives us a chance to talk about affected business categories. We want to make it fun and entertaining, but at the same time understand that, we're in the middle of a pandemic and this is an opportunity to support your community. And then provide the community with targeted guides, again, that help consumers re-engage with those businesses. And then create individual opportunities for businesses to connect with the community and share their message. And that's that individual space that they would have. And because of the volume of these, we're anticipating producing 7 different guides. We'd work with Spokane Regional Health on what the appropriate launch point is. And it's going to take a while to communicate with all the businesses, but Fortunately, we've been working on this for a little while, and we've got a pretty good system built up. Our entire team is on board. We really feel like we can impact the community on this. And so I think I already talked about 600 businesses and restaurants, 300 in shopping, and 300 in entertainment when it's appropriate. And then every one of those guides would have a digital edition. They look great on your tablet, easy to thumb through, and then easy to share. And every partner has already said they're going to share or they're going to help with distribution. So pathways to getting information out to market are available. And again, I think we'll be able to get people to share those guides out pretty consistently out in the community. And then recovery pages in the Inlander and digital outreach. As we gather information from the restaurants and the shops and things, compelling things that they have going on, if it's some special they're doing that night, or they've got some certain recipe that you can get, things that people would want to go out and check out their business, we're going to share those through pages in the Inlander, and we will run those at the start of the campaign all the way through the end of the year and beyond. And then we also will have digital versions of that are available that can reside on partner websites and accessing the information. We also feel like if we gather that information, curate it, and share it out to different groups, we can see blogs and different places like that want to access that information. And so if you have a clearinghouse where people can send their information and they know that it'll be sent out and used, it becomes a really compelling thing to have. And we feel like Inlander's already kind of got the background for doing that, and we add to it that this is supporting businesses, and we'll see that work well. And then also special Inlander guides and sections. We do a bunch of different things over the course of the year, opportunities like fall arts or our holiday guide or our shop local. And so we would tie content into that, and we would tie support into that, to making sure that people understand getting out and supporting businesses is critical. And then we talked about it a couple times, but content sharing and building support. We feel like adding partners into that along the way is going to be something that just the Inland Northwest does. They just step into those things. They find ways to help, and we have lots of partners. And I would just close in saying it means a lot to we want to do right by our community, and we try to work really hard at these things. And I think we'd work hard at this, and I think our team would really it'd mean a lot to them. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jer. And so the last component related, between GSI and Business Spokane and the Inlander are three overarching regional campaigns that build upon each other. And then the last piece that's critical to this the overarching consumer confidence and marketing campaign is a series of localized campaigns. And so I'm going to hand it over to our partners at DSP, over to Mark and Liz to kick off that discussion.
Great. Thanks, Alicia. Thank you, commissioners and friends who are sitting there in the conference room. Good to see all of you. So I'm just going to keep my comments really brief and let the person with the brains in this discussion, that's Elizabeth Hooker, my marketing director, speak to most of what we're proposing. But a couple things I wanted to point out. I think one is if I'm in your shoes, you may get some questions about, well, why would we support a campaign, even though this is a very modest ask on our part for downtown? You all recognize, and we can help others recognize, that not only does the county, city is part of the county, as is downtown. Obviously, financially, the county benefits, and that benefits everybody from the commerce that's done downtown. The other thing I wanted to point out is that that I don't recall hearing is that we are continuing to poll for consumer confidence, both as a group and targeting our individual respective customers, and gathering information and responses about how they feel, what are their expectations, what's their comfort levels, who are they, what's holding them back from supporting or getting back out into the business world, whether they're an employee or whether they're a customer. That all will be continually, I'm sure, used and updated and to feed some of our campaigns, as well as others that others are doing. Like I know PFD just finished with a fantastic set of polling that they have shared with us as well. And so all of those things will I'm sure be used. I just want to make sure you're aware that those are tools we're looking to use. Finally, I would just say from my perspective is I think the beautiful thing about this presentation is that you're hearing from a number of experts. You're seeing this collaboration and cooperation, and probably most importantly as a county commissioner is what you're really witnessing here is the offer of leveraging of resources. Again, as Alicia mentioned, no staff time. Basically, if you had to contract this out, you'd be paying for a lot of this stuff. And then as we speak, we're all pooling our collective collateral materials so that we can use a lot of that in order to save money and again, leverage those scarce resources for you. So with that, I'll just pass this over to Elizabeth, who's going to share a little bit about our proposed micro campaign. Liz?
Thanks, Mark. And thank you to all our partners who allowed us to sit at the table. Our portion is just a very teeny tiny portion, but it's incredibly impactful on our downtown, as Mark said. We represent an 80 square block region of Spokane, but we represent over 1,100 properties and businesses, around 230 of which are retail, dining, nightlife, coffee shops, entertainment, those anchors that organizations like Visit Spokane are going to be promoting when they go out to make the push beyond our region. And it's our job as the downtown partnership to make sure that those businesses are still here. I just want to paint a picture of some of the unique experiences that our businesses downtown have. While we understand that the entire region is struggling and no one has escaped the stay-home order without some sort of trials and tribulations, we do have some unique factors that really impact our businesses, as well as the reason that they choose to locate in downtown Spokane in the first place. Throughout the stay-home order, there is no real essential business in downtown. We don't have a grocer, we don't have a Target, so shoppers are bypassing downtown to get to those essential items and really leaving our downtown space quiet. Those restaurants that were able to be open for takeout, those retailers that were able to pivot to an online store still lacked the typical foot traffic or even digital foot traffic that they would normally see throughout the spring months. We also have a relatively small residential population, so our residents couldn't necessarily support those restaurants through the stay-home order. I know a lot of them did their best, and there's a lot of gift cards going around, but they still didn't have that drive-by traffic that you would see maybe in a neighborhood like Perry or the Garland District. We normally see around 33,000 employees in downtown on a regular workday. Most of them are gone. All that foot traffic is gone. And we know that even as we are phasing back into the office, with childcare needs being what they are, with the new discovery of Zoom, we're meeting right now on Zoom, it's going to impact the decision to return to the workplace. And we're aware of even organizations that are looking at minimizing their leases or looking at all new leases altogether. So not only are our retailers and restaurants at risk, but our office occupancy is at risk as well, which just furthers the deficit that we have to make up for. With the virus concerns, a lot of our activations, so those great surprises that you come to downtown for, horse and carriage rides, Food Truck Friday, our summer workout series, they're gone. We don't know when they're going to be back this year, if they're going to be back at all, as well as just the catastrophic loss of tourism events. Our real retail time hits in spring with PNQ, which didn't happen, and it lasts all the way through Hoop Fest, which if it happens, won't even happen until August. Spokane is a town known to go to the lake in the summer, but Visit Spokane and the Sports Commission have done a fantastic job over the last few years, really filling the convention center and the arena with bodies in the summer months, which has greatly increased foot traffic. And without all of that foot traffic, we just don't know if our retailers can hang on. So what we're requesting as part of this
this budget is to complement and augment for downtown the regional campaigns that are being developed. We know who our audience is, at least for who we can focus on, and it's our home team. So we need to be the squeaky wheel for downtown, and we need to let the region know that, you know, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, did it make a sound? If a business is teetering in downtown and there's no one to see it, are we really going to know? It's our job to sound the horn and say, stand up and pay attention to downtown. If you love this business, you need to come and support it in whatever way you can. But we need to make sure that those businesses are opening in a healthy way, because as soon as you lose trust from a consumer, they're not going to come back again. And that not only affects the business that loses the trust, but it affects their neighbors as well. If we have non-compliance with mask wearing, and I go to a coffee shop in downtown, I might choose not to return to downtown at all if one store messes that up. So we will be promoting the healthy opening. We'll be driving home that message along with GSI, as well as just being the real squeaky wheel for our downtown businesses. We're going to do the best that we can to make up for the lost revenue over the last 4 months. I don't know if it's possible. We just need to get enough to get them to hold on. To date, to our knowledge, we have lost 13 businesses in downtown, have permanently closed or relocated, and that's just within the business improvement district. And we know of others that are in the downtown area that are closing as well. So it's hard to hear, and it's hard to share, and we're doing our job every single day, but a little bit of help will certainly make that more manageable and more achievable. Just to kind of end with what our media mix will look like, we're going to really try and focus on our consumers where they are, which is online and in their car. For those workers that do return to downtown, we'll be running special campaigns to talk about, you know, taking it home with you, encouraging them to patronize businesses without overwhelming businesses, so that we can stay healthy and reopen safely. And with our budget, obviously everything will be moved back at least a month into July.
Excellent. Thank you, Liz and Mark. So building off of that, I'm going to hand it over to Lance at Greater Spokane Valley Chamber on their localized campaign.
Thanks, Alicia. Carrie, you can just go down to the media mix. I'm going to channel my inner abilities for brevity here. I could say ditto to what DSP said. So our campaign again is a layer to the mix in this pie. The one thing that I would stress is that we as a community, in our work in the transportation sector, some of the studies that have come back obviously pointing to some staggering facts about the lack of number of people that live in the same area that they work. And so the importance that we have broad activation, not only broad awareness of these campaign efforts, points to the need for the localized campaigns, in my opinion. And so I think the ability for organizations like myself in the Valley communities, Mark downtown, Toby out on the West Plains, to know our markets and be able to read our markets as the regional campaigns roll out and start providing that broad awareness for us to be able to then activate localized campaigns to push the awareness into full-fledged activation is going to be critical. And so you can see our request here. Our target market for this campaign is kind of the east side of the county, with the notion that we are going to drive this into our smaller communities that don't have business development representation necessarily at the table. And so I look to communities like Rockford, Freeman, Valley Ford, and whatnot, to add into the mix of my team being tasked with getting this message activated in those communities. And so we won't duplicate the effort, we'll just enhance and add in a Valley flavor to the collateral. And so taking the regional collateral that's been developed and will be activated and putting a Valley voice to that as well. to be able to drive broader acceptance of that. Hear it from your neighbor, a little different than hearing it from the regional perspective, although both are 100% necessary to get it activated within the community. And so you can see we have some Valley publications represented in our media mix. We have some social media activation from our channels there, as well as a local media activation that we've put in place to work through the end of the year to highlight local businesses in our Valley communities doing things the right way and how they're being successful in doing so. And so I don't think I need much more time. I want to get us back on pace here, so I'll leave it at that. If there's questions, I'm open to taking those. Again, an ask for the east side of the county and to be able to drive this messaging further home in a community that I'll say it, some like it, some don't, but sometimes the Valley just has its own way of doing things. And so we want to continue that push from a Valley-based organization that this is the right direction to be going. Hearing it from us, we think will have an impact on the overall success of the campaign.
Thanks, Lance.
Thanks.
And then swing around. Oh, go ahead, Kara.
Just really quickly, in this PDF, we also included a micro campaign from Spokane Arts that they have put together as well. So just wanted to call your attention to the difference between the regional or broader than regional and county. Those are spelled out, and then the more localized ones of Greater Spokane Valley Chamber, Spokane Arts, and DSP would really be within that that marketing grant fund bucket. And so we wanted to give you an example of another hyperlocal campaign as well.
And so to bring us to a close and open for questions and dialogue, I'm going to head it to the west side of the county to Toby and the West Plains Chamber.
Thank you so much, County Commissioners and team, for letting us speak today and just share. So just a brief on the West Plains, maybe more of need for marketing. So we are desperate to make sure that we let the rest of the region know that we are safe and open for business, as well as our continual marketing effort to remind the rest of the region that we're only 17 minutes from downtown. We're not an hour. It's pretty close. But I think one of the needs that we kind of heard was I'm just going to call out the city of Cheney specifically. So EWU is an economic driver for that community. And so when students were forced to go home early for spring break and weren't able to return, a lot of those local businesses, they struggled in the midst of different phases not being able to open. The summer is already a tough time. And then even with new information from EWU, having to make really tough decisions to state that they're going to have limited students coming back in the fall. And so that community itself is just going to be in need of, one, a marketing campaign for its own residents outside of students to let them know that the downtown is open, it's safe, but also the rest of the region. And so I'll just highlight a little bit more on just the $500,000 grant itself. So as the regional plan is really overarching, these localized targeted efforts are really intended to piggyback on that and be key, not only just for us, but you saw the Spokane Arts and DSP and the Valley Chamber. And so how those are going to be administered, it could either be through the county or kind of through this partnership that we have too, that we've kind of created amongst our different groups that are presenting here today. And so I'll just kind of close with just my little tidbit on the collaboration that's happened. We've come a long way in the last few years, just as trade associations and groups serving the business communities in different aspects of our region. And just to see, especially during the COVID crisis, to come together, not only just to eliminate sometimes the membership, but really serve our entire community, but for the greater region. So our chamber, we don't have a marketing department, or even in the month of May, our organization made some tough calls to have to furlough staff. And so just to see the rest of these organizations come together and to keep us a part of it as the West Plains, but not only that, their continued mission for collaboration for the entire region is really encouraging. So I'm excited for where we're going to go together. And I'll just finalize this. I forgot to mention just the localized campaign. Our mission is to make sure every main street is represented. And so this grant, specifically that 500,000 small kind of grant is going to be key and important to that. So right now, like I said, I get a chance to close it off. And I think right now we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions as our kind of presentation portion is coming to a close. But again, thank you for the opportunity to present.
Toby. So we will turn it back to the commissioners for questions, dialogue, however you'd like to step through the huge amount of information we've just given you.
Okay, so guess I'll start out with Josh and Mary. Any immediate questions, concerns, ideas?
So,
Please.
yeah, no, I'll lead off. Kara, it seemed the bulk of your marketing campaign seemed to be a public health driven campaign, with a lot of the, reminding people to wash their hands, face masks. What was the total cost of that portion of the campaign?
That total was $725.
Okay. I could be off base with this, but I mean, it just seems the social distancing, the washing your hands, sort of those safety measures, there's a lot of national organizations that are pushing that same message. I mean, and so, I mean, what's sort of the driving factor to think we need a localized branded version of what, I mean, we see the health district, we see CDC, you see signs at just about every business you go into about, whether you need a mask, the tape on the floors, the social distancing. I mean, it seems to be concepts that are being pushed by a lot of people already.
No, thank you. That's a great question. And it is being supported by a lot of organizations. I think for a couple reasons. Why we're asking to do this as well is and I'm not sure if you've been to a place that is not doing any of those things, but I have, and I've been to more than one, and pretty much hear stories daily about non-compliance. And at the same time, we're seeing cases. We've had one single-digit case in the last, I believe, 14 days. So we do see an increase of cases. While that hasn't translated, thank goodness, into a lot more deaths, we want to keep that. We know right now there's this moment in time that we need about 85% of everyone to be wearing masks. And I think all of us can probably attest that we don't see that happening. That might be in pockets of our region, but it's definitely not happening in, I would say, the majority of our region. We do think that also our region has a especially our county, we have kind of an attitude that we want things that, like Elizabeth was saying, homegrown. We want to support our own. I think just having a message that is combined health. So the health district is involved and they've come alongside us in supporting this. They don't have the dollars either to do this from a business standpoint. We're really looking to develop some business peer pressure that will allow all businesses to reopen, not have to close, not be given a fine. That doesn't help anyone. We want to just create an environment where it's not weird and people aren't wondering, am I going to get looked at or made fun of? We want to make sure that because we know that that's one of the most important ways, that and staying apart from people is what is going to limit our spread. And so I do think there is an element that we can develop our own campaign to talk to our own folks here that do kind of have a nature to be mavericks in a bit of a way. They don't want to hear anything from the West Side and that type of thing. I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that.
Kara, I can just add, when we started the campaign development process, Josh, one of the key components was some research out of MIT Sloan in their program, and kind of two sentiments really drove the conversation. One, cautious at being pro-business in the face of public health is critical right now across the country. And the second is people really need care, not a battle cry at the moment. And so This is a phased campaign approach. We actually have a second wave of creative for the back half of this once we see broader acceptance and participation in this effort. And so we showed phase 1 of the campaign because it's the relevant part right at the moment. But the second tier of the creative would pivot to a more, we are open, we are safe, and you can go here and do business in this fashion. And so, Kara, if you want to touch on that second wave of creative, that would probably help too.
Yeah, and I just want to, and we'll move to that second wave of creative at a point in time. But what I think what Lance is driving at too is this is a very flexible campaign, and those messages that we've all been hearing about, stay 6 feet apart, wear a mask, and wash your hands, those could be a little different in 2 months. And so we can swap out those messages and add what is the next thing that we need to do to keep us safe. To Lance's point, we do have a second wave of creative that is a little more whimsical. And I love when I first saw Visit Spokane's creative, ours goes sort of right in line with it. And it's around marmots and how it just kind of the same type of messages, but again, can be flexible, and we can take one out and put one in if we need to. We didn't feel that having both of those out there obviously isn't, competing against each other. We wanted this, I think that everything has been so, it's been very serious. And so we want to take that emotional approach this first round and just say, this is about caring about each other. It's about being respectful for each other. And that is not a message that I'm seeing widely.
So is the target then to get businesses to comply, or is it to encourage customers to wear masks?
Both.
And wash their hands?
Both.
And if they're not today, do you think that a branding campaign from GSI is going to change that?
I think a social norming, which is really you're trying to change behaviors for everyone's health. And so if there's more businesses that are complying with mask wearing, at restaurants is the one I'm really hyper focused on. Masks and gloves are supposed to be required for every worker. I will leave a restaurant, and I'm just saying my own personal, I will leave a restaurant if they're not. And like Liz was saying, I won't go back if I don't think that they're actually have changed that. We want to have businesses that are complying with the guidelines that are coming down from the state. And again, that softer peer pressure for businesses. If customers, I do think customers will comply with whatever a business is doing, to the good and to the not good. And so if you go into a business and nobody's wearing a mask, you're going to feel silly and take off your mask. We are trying to get people to wear masks. And so I do think when you're norming behavior, you want to make it so that people aren't questioning, am I going to feel silly walking in there with a mask? Everybody's going to be doing it. It really is a subtle piece of peer pressure.
I know it's only been a few days, but what's the reception been of your Wear a Mask campaign video?
It has over 22,000 views. It went live Thursday at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm. What's the reception been so far?
Highly positive. Obviously, that yes, there's some controversy out there as well that people have felt it's political, but that's the nature of where we're at right now. I think overwhelmingly positive.
Can I just say something really quick, just in regards to this layering? All of the information that we're seeing, in order for us to be able to invite visitors back into our destination, the number one word and the number one thing everybody's thinking about is safety. So that's why we look at this. Every destination in the United States, that's where we're looking at, are putting these local campaigns together first and then layering it on top. Because the last thing that we need is, as we talked about earlier, is people coming in, we aren't practicing safe behaviors, we aren't looking at it. So it's to get that social norming, as Kara said, then we still have this information out there. So people come to our town, see that our destination is very serious about this, buy some of that advertising. That's why it layers over throughout that advertising, that marketing side of it for the social norming. And then we get a much higher response of safety and enjoyment and all from our visitors. We're both looking at that because we don't want the social media aspect of it too to come back out, that it's a negative experience for our visitors. We want it to be a positive experience so they will come back, and then other people will read that and then they will say, hey, great, Spokane, the whole region there is doing great. So they will feel comfortable visiting as well.
Yeah, I think it's also worth noting that it's the rate in which you can get to market or get your market satisfactory for consumer confidence to recover is a huge strategic advantage. And having looked through and talked to a lot of the media people during the pricing of the media plan, there are several destinations that are within our region that have made significant advertising buys in our market. And so we're either going to get there and get these businesses running again and get our economy starting, or someone else is going to do it. And I think our fear is that if the Spokane market has a tendency, without the large built-in meeting structure in downtown, to the whole region has a tendency to hollow out. And so we're nervous that if we don't get to market within the next several weeks, that we are going to be considerably behind. So I think that's an important notion. To Meg's point, is that other communities are doing it, and communities that were not affected as hard by COVID are already starting to roll out of it in a very competitive way, which makes everything more competitive, including the pricing on media.
Yeah. And I'll just add a couple things on that. Thanks, Jamie. You reminded me to say, we were on a call last week with KAYU. They were talking to us about a marketing campaign, maybe partnering with us to do that, and mentioned that the state of Idaho had done a very large media buy with them, which we do think sometimes is a tactic to kind of prod us to do that. But I texted Jamie that evening as I saw in one commercial break 3 ads for Idaho. I'm pretty sure that that was true. And I would just say that is and always has been our #1 competitor as far as recruitment and retention and expansion here in our to bring it back to economic development. And Idaho has been very, very quick, nimble, and has been able to get out 3 programs out of the chute that we are competing against daily now. That kind of feeds into all of this. So Idaho was able to supply $300 million for $10,000 small business grants to 30,000 businesses across the state. They've also had a statewide PPE starter kit for businesses to come. It's a 30-day supply of PPE. That was about a month ago that rolled out. And thirdly, they had a $1,500 individual back to work stimulus per employees. They are actively and ahead of us on some of this stuff. So I do think the competitive nature in me really does think we need to hit back hard.
So if I could, commissioners, Josh, to your question, I think a couple of things. One, we are seeing in some of the polling that there is absolutely some consumer confidence in terms of their sense of safety. I think that we have to turn, and that's the reasoning, the rationale behind the approach. But I can't imagine any of us wouldn't welcome your guys' input in terms of the specifics of our strategies. So this is meant as our best foot forward to try to say, here's what we think we're seeing in the polling data and in our experience. But if you would like to engage with us, and work with us on what those strategies actually are deployed on, we're obviously we would take your input and direction.
Well, I mean, I guess the point I'm trying to make, I mean, I love the Visit Spokane concept for their marketing. I love the idea from the Inlander. I love Lance's idea for targeting at the Valley. I just think the whole spending that much money to continue to push the make sure you stay 6 feet apart, make sure you wear a mask, make sure you wash your hands. I mean, we're hearing that constantly every single day on every media outlet out there. The health district pushed. I mean, Jared's in the room. Jared, to what extent did the Joint Information Center push those ideas of social distancing, hand washing, and face mask wearing?
All day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pushed locally for months, and it's like, if you know, another $700,000 into it. I mean, look how much it's done when we've heard it nonstop for 3 months. There's still places I went to the grocery store yesterday. I was one of the only people in a mask that was there. All of the employees were. Every employee was wearing a mask. As far as shoppers, it was like me and one other person. There were probably over 50 people in that grocery store. There were 2 of us that were shoppers in masks. I don't think another ad campaign is going to change that. I mean, I maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I mean, I would assume those 3 commercials you saw from Idaho were all come to Idaho and shop, come to Idaho and eat, come to Idaho and spend your money. I doubt any of them were come to Idaho and make sure you have your mask on, you're staying 6 feet apart, and you're washing your hands.
Mask in Idaho. You didn't? No. No.
Sorry to jump in here. I've been checking a lot on the Downtown Coeur d'Alene Association and what they're doing, and they're already aggressively promoting events in July. And I was looking through some of their social media, and they were showing businesses open, and absolutely none of the business proprietors were wearing masks. Myself as a consumer have made the decision that I don't intend to go to Idaho anytime soon. I agree that we don't need to make health safety maybe the entire focus, but it does need to be a part of this campaign. Otherwise, I think we're going to alienate the confidence of a lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm just saying there's other organizations out there that are already pushing the health and safety message. I mean, is it wise to spend $700,000 more to push a message that everybody already knows? I mean, if you go ask somebody, what does social distancing mean? Everybody knows what social distancing means. You ask about masks, you know, everybody knows you're supposed to wear a mask. Not everyone is wearing a mask, but you're supposed to be wearing a mask. I mean, it's a lot of money, and I don't know if you're going to get the bang for the buck out of that at the end of the day. I don't know if you're going to change that habit that we're seeing, you know, in our, you know, in our businesses. I may be wrong. Maybe it'll be a great campaign, and a lot more people will start doing that. But I don't know if it comes from this campaign. I think it's a stronger message coming from the health district or from the CDC or from the state health agencies.
I had to weigh in on this. So one of the things that I'm concerned about, and so I actually like the kindness, not COVID, just as we look at schools reopening and schools having to have masks, I was just thinking about the fact that we have to have some kind of positive spin on it that hasn't happened. I think we've really talked about it's the need, it's all of those things, but I think if we don't have some kind of positive spin to it to make it, you know, more socially acceptable, that we're, you know, I'm already hearing from superintendents that parents are already getting upset about it, all those things, and we're not going to be able to get the schools to reopen in the fall. So I mean, so I kind of see it almost twofold, you know, where I can see it now for businesses. I've been out, Max and I've gone to dinner most every night last week, and I was in a restaurant where they were using their menus, just, you know, plastic menus, just like normal, which I'm like, I won't go back there now, you know, because I don't want to be touching what somebody else has already been touching and all that. And I did not see them clean them in between. So, you know, won't say the name of the restaurant, but it's like, you know, I won't go back. So I think having some kind of positive spin, because that's what I was thinking about is, you know, there's a couple of us that will be going to Central Valley for their reopening committee tomorrow. And it's like, we have to figure out. So I mean, I like the kindness not COVID as a way to try to present it in a positive manner. You know, not sure, you know, the amount of money, purpose that we can spend. You know, Carrie will help guide us on that. Our grants administrator. I got to look back at the guidance to see how much we can really use for, you know, as advertising. You know, and again, if we're buying into December, you know, beyond December, I'm not sure that we can actually do that from a grants perspective. But you know, those are some of the things that we need to think about as we look at these. So that's just me weighing in on that, and then I'll save my question. I'll let you finish with your questions, Josh.
No, I'm just, you know, we had a strong, you know, hashtag Inland Strong campaign about masks. If we wanted to continue one about masks and the social distancing, I don't know why we would move away from something that had such you know, a why, I keep using the term strong, you know, I mean, a strong, you know, I mean, lots of people knew the hashtag Inland Strong tag, and that was associated with the social distancing, the face mask, the sanitation, to create a brand new branding campaign. I don't know.
I'll just add that, and I spoke at length with Kelly Hawkins, and I know others have too on this call. Really around, that was a completely digital campaign.
Mm-hmm.
There was no other assets as part of that.
I saw people in shirts that said Inland Strong. I mean,
yes, that was
Strong went much further than just you know, just Facebook. But
yes, no, and we did that from the Joint Information Center,
yes.
Created T-shirts, and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm just the health district. Yes, it was all digital, no media, and no out of home, and those are expensive. I mean, they are. and to Jamie's point,
they have the banners that were in the spokesman review.
Yes. Yep.
I was just going to add, and we can continue. I don't think, obviously the commissioners will have to decide. I think that there's a component of this that's around, we know overarching for business confidence is around building consumer and employee confidence, and having something that bands our business community together, and that social norming is a huge shift. It won't be, we're not going to get all the way there, but that we have to continue to build on the assets that have been created, but also have a campaign that really bands our business community together, and that the health district isn't in a position to do that all along. So they're partnering with us, and that then as business organizations, we're able to come alongside and be that message carrier to the business community in partnership with the health district, and that we can build on the social norm that has to continue. We can't take our foot off the pedal in that continued effort, because each of you have shared examples of what you're seeing out there and you know, in the environment. And so how do we pick up on the assets, but as the business community, how do we carry forward that responsibility with the business community, and giving them tools and arming them with tools that both band them together, create consistency for consumers and workers, but also continues to build off of the work that's already been laid. That's the long-term intent of all of this, and that the message as we move forward has something that we can all collectively ban around.
Do you have any more questions, or? Okay.
Nope.
Go ahead.
So some of my questions, Idaho opening up quicker than we are, and yes, a lot of what Idaho's doing, that's a state effort. So I mean, it's not the local Spokane or Coeur d'Alene community and their county. It's a state effort that is driving that and doing that. So one of my questions is with the Inlander, Jerry, haven't met you before, but so nice to meet you. You know, because a lot of what you do, like for Restaurant Week and all that, is a huge section is Coeur d'Alene. Not a huge, but I mean, I would say almost a third seems like it's Coeur d'Alene versus Spokane. And so how do you see that playing out? Is that, so I guess that's one of my questions.
So when you ask that, like, are you asking how many businesses in Idaho versus how many businesses in Washington we try to connect with?
So like for your $720,000, is that also helping promote Coeur d'Alene, or is that really promoting Spokane and Spokane County?
The goal was to predominantly support Spokane County and especially to reach out to Spokane County restaurants. You know, and part of it is to go to the area of greatest need, and then the other. So totally aware that it's Spokane County. The commissioners are all from Spokane County, and that's kind of the target goal for us. A lot of the partners that we have, including Avista, Washington Trust, and SDCU, all want to kind of connect outside of the region too, because those areas are important to them. And so part of it is to honor their request, use some of their funds to be able to talk to those communities. But our goal definitely is to kind of focus on Spokane County and have a very disproportionate number of those people be in Spokane County. But we would talk to Kootenai County. We would talk to other Washington counties to be able to support those communities as well. But part of our goal was that we would talk to every restaurant, excluding fast food, in Spokane County and offer them the opportunity to participate.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
And then like for Meg with Visit Spokane, so I was confused just a little bit on the PowerPoint. Is it 2.5 million for Visit Spokane or 3.124? Because I saw the 3.124 on the media buy. So does that include your media buy with GSI's media buy? I guess that was, I was trying to look at those.
That's an excellent question. So we build them together. So that 3.1, whatever that number was at the bottom, was what the county and Visit Spokane's media plan looked like together. As a whole, I thought it would be important to see it layered so you could see where one would start and the other one would start. But and I can send you guys a separate spreadsheet that's only Visit Spokane's media buy, because I can pull out the county ones, but ours was only 2.5.
Okay, so your 2.5 is just the full media buy.
Correct. There's no administrative costs. In Visit Spokane, currently we do our own media buying. I have about 10 years of experience doing it, and so we would buy our own media, so we wouldn't need to pay any administrative services for that either.
Okay, great. Just was wanting to clarify that. So the 3.124 is GSI's and yours is just for the media buy though too. So you don't need to, you know, I saw how you layered. I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on.
Yep. You're accurate. That is correct. They were built together, and that's a combined number.
Okay, thank you. So then like with the Greater Spokane Valley, so looking at your media, Lance, definitely it's, you know, you're getting to the splash and the current that kind of gets to your business community more, so that is in addition adds on to what those other media buys would be. So I get that. But Toby, I wasn't sure for you, is there a dollar ask for like your Cheney Press or, you know, any of those?
There probably will be one in the future. At this time, we kind of will advocate on behalf of kind of all of our little communities around the county that will request funds from, I think, about that $350,000 that's remaining from DSP and Valley Chamber for localized buys. So yeah, definitely towards the Cheney Free Press, Huckleberry Press, and some of our localized marketing efforts too.
Okay, so you have that already included in the overall total.
Yep, it was more of just kind of the idea that there might be other localized papers from Deer Park or elsewhere within the county, or sorry, just other county cities that might have smaller publications that would be using those grant dollars.
Okay, thank you. And then going back up to the business grants, so with the commerce grants, and I'm not sure who will answer these questions. So commerce. So just to understand the process, so commerce had us do the initial screening. They had the initial list as to what they wanted questions answered for the grant process. Is that correct, or did we have to develop our own here? And then it all combined to the state?
We had to develop a process for review. So the only thing that they provided was an application. And so we built the grant review process, which we can certainly send to you off of the information that we had. So they provided a little bit of high level guidance to be at best. And so then designing that here and also working with the other ADOs across the state to try to figure out how best to have an equitable-esque process with what information we were provided on the application response. And so then the external grant review committee used that to score applications and then a ranked rating from there. And then we supplied those applications, those top 120 applications to the Department of Commerce. Then they had a separate grant review process to decision which ones were put forward to the governor, and they had to be signed off by the governor and the director of the Department of Commerce.
Okay, and so we sent of the 1,800, we narrowed it down and sent 120 over. How many were granted?
61.
61. Okay, and of that 61, then was that were those checks written from Commerce themselves? So that didn't come through you guys.
It will come back through the ADO. So in this case, with this fund, they're using the strategic reserve fund, or now the Working Washington Fund, and so the ADO serves as the pass-through, similar to when we pass through funds for an expansion project or a retention project, and so we're in the process of administering 61 different contracts with every one of those businesses. They then submit their receipt for reimbursement, and then we submit for reimbursement from the Department of Commerce, and they send us the funds and we distribute it to that business.
Okay, so these are all on a reimbursement basis?
All on a reimbursement basis.
Okay, not on just a grant that we're going to give you a set amount and you go for it.
The majority were funded. It was an up to $10,000 grant. And I think all but 2 or 3 received the full 10,000. And then it lists the types of
expenditures that they're allowed to.
What the types of expenditures are that they can have. And so then they have to submit an invoice to GSI for that, up to that amount, or rolling if they needed to.
Okay, would you be able to send me what the original application was that you guys put together, and then what that reimbursement for expenditures would be? Just so
we can send you all of those materials.
So what that is. And the PPP program hadn't been done yet at that point in time, so you didn't know who was a recipient or who wasn't of that, correct?
Correct. Yeah, this rolled out the middle of April, so most PPP didn't start flowing until the end of April. But it wasn't, I don't believe the application process was even open when the Working Washington grant application was open.
Okay, because I think for me, that's one of the things I want to see is that I want to be able to help businesses that kind of fell through the cracks, that didn't get the PPP. And I would say businesses and nonprofits. I think I look at them the same. I know on the, Cindy can correct me, but I think, as we were looking at the PPE to get out to, that 15,000, was businesses and nonprofits that we were looking at for that. So I think sometimes that's we keep saying small business, and I think for that one, yours was not for nonprofits, but the PPE program, we have looked at nonprofits are in that calculation, correct?
Right. So so when you're talking about the SBA program, a lot of nonprofits, they qualified, but the Working Washington grants, nonprofits did not qualify for Working Washington grants.
Okay.
So they would not be included in any of those 1,700 applications or 1,800 applications that we received. So there's definitely a gap there. And it was asked on that application whether or not they received funding. And some of them, a lot of them were in process, those that applied for Working Washington. So there was no way to really assess whether or not they'd received them at that point.
Okay, thank you.
And then we had a number, I would just also add, and I think just important, they did include sole props in the Commerce grant. So the one employee could be the sole proprietor.
Okay, which I think is important for a small business to be looking at.
And we had a lot of them.
Okay.
And I wanted to add that the CARES Act was passed on March 27th. So I do think, although it had a slow rollout and problematic rollout initially, that first round was probably right as we were accepting applications as well.
Okay.
And then Mary, I would just, I'll send you all this, but the process itself then was linked. I mean, so we had to submit applications. Oh, Cindy, help me with it. We submitted applications by the end of April, and they just, and then you just saw, we just got the official grant notification. It was it's about over a month, and then we're now in the deployment. So by the time they actually get funds, it'll be 2.5 months of the process. Commerce, if they were to do something again at a statewide level, is trying to speed that up, but part of its challenge was the funding source at the time that the state was using, which slowed up how some of that process worked.
Okay, great. I think that's most of my questions at this point in time. As it's very helpful. Thank you all for, it's very helpful for me that you were here to explain kind of what was happening and what your thoughts are for all of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess I'll jump in here and share with you some of my reaction. It seems to me that if we're looking to try and jumpstart the economy, the one thing that we've been successful at doing over the years is building a tourism industry that, quite frankly, brings other people's money to the community and spend it, and then we get to spend it over and over again. And so I'm seeing in this a lot of energy where we're basically selling to ourselves that you need to buy local, you need to spend local, you need to do all of that kind of stuff. And if all we're going to do is turn local money, it doesn't seem to me that we're going to get back to where we wanted to be or where we were. And so in a campaign that talks about trying to encourage people to do all of those precautions tells me that my reaction is, well, they're not comfortable about where they're at, and so they want to make sure that I don't screw them up. And so if we're not going to have confidence about our ability to open up, then maybe we really aren't ready to open up. So if you want to encourage people to do something, make it fun. I mean, why don't we have like, and I'll go to one of the things that the DSP has done downtown with the First Friday, and let's make an event out of that, and the price of admission is you got to wear a mask, and that way everybody that shows up gets in free if they have a mask. If they don't wear a mask, then it costs them $20. But if you got a mask, then you get in free. What happens if we have the Mardi Gras of Spokane and make an event out of wearing a mask and making a fun thing, something that people will actually travel to Spokane to be part of because it's a fun activity, or Hoop Fest. You get to enter your team for free if you wear a mask during the play, and kind of something that would actually reward them for doing something that we want them to do, as opposed to trying to persuade them to do something because we think it's the right thing to do. But we all know it's the right thing to do, but not everybody's doing it. So that message ain't getting across. But if we rewarded them by doing something that they're invested in, then maybe that would help and stuff. So, and I'm even open to staging events. I mean, we got Hoop Fest and Bloomsday. Let's go back to Woodstock and let's have a concert in the park, kind of a deal. And you show up and you're wearing a mask, you get into the concert for free, kind of a deal. So, but it's the kind of event that will draw people not just from Spokane, but from the entire region to come here. My God, if they can attract people to the Gorge, we got to be able to attract people into downtown Spokane. I mean, You know, you don't even have to sit on rocks. I guess this is all good. I don't want to sound disparaging, but it seems like we can push the envelope. I mean, I think, Kara, you said we're competing against Idaho. You're right. Is this gonna get us to compete against Idaho and win? I'm not sure. I mean, what do we need to do to be creative, to really do things out of the box? I mean, that's what Spokane's known for, is doing things that nobody else can do. I mean, Hoop Fest, Bloomsday, all of that stuff. I mean, well, what are we doing now that nobody else has done? What is it that we can do that will make Spokane not only be a destination, but be the destination? Everybody's saying, well, you know what they did? It was whatever that is. You guys are the creative side. I'm not. I'm just a dumb county commissioner. But I guess what I'm trying to do is encourage you to think out of the box, because I think that it's going to take getting out of the box that'll differentiate us from Portland and Boise and all of those other communities and stuff. So anyway, that's just my gut reaction. And so take it for what it's worth. I really want to get people out of the Tri-Cities here. I want to get people out of Missoula here. And what is it going to take that will make that happen? So we can fill up the hotels. I don't want them to be here for a day. I want them to be here for the weekend, kind of a deal. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for whatever it's worth.
Well, Commissioner, I would just say, if you invest in that work with confidence, I can tell you between Jamie and Kara and Jer and Liz, because the rest of it, well, there might probably, Lance, he'll put himself as a marketing guru. They have so many awesome ideas to run with. If given some dollars to invest in this kind of work, it's multifaceted and fun is a key. We got to build the fun and the confidence into all of that. So they're the marketing gurus.
The piece that I would add to that is that our goal is that Hoop Fest Bloomsday will happen. Our way of getting to phase 4, where it meets the guidelines to be able to have an event of that scale, is that we have to show we can get through phase 2 and phase 3. And while we report to that authority that's making that determination, our campaigns were built with Dr. Lutz's recommendations in mind and the health district's mind. For us, Spokane's a feeder, or the recipient of a very large feeder market for retail alone. And so when we look at, I'll put my Valley Mall hat on and tell you that when there are issues that are holding up retail sales, one of which being we couldn't have our retail stores open, that's a problem for us in not only the Valley, but in every market within Spokane County. And so I think, Commissioner French, we echo your desire to get there and to be able to have creative Pig Out in the Park, for instance. Right now, Pig Out in the Park, we can't host that event as we're currently slated. And so our goal is that we prove that we can be safe, our businesses can operate, our case count can stay down, our hospitals stay empty without looking at the elective surgeries that we'd like to get back to full-fledged on. And we move forward. I think that was, it's unfortunate our reason for what our campaign creative has to be right now is continued advocacy for following the stated objectives of the health department that will get us to that point where we can further open up. I just, the earlier comment on the scale of the campaign, we can scale the campaign back. Media buys, it's this awesome thing where you just change a number in the front and it becomes a smaller buy. There's a lot of us that have done that our entire careers, and we make do with what we have in front of us. I think the task doesn't change. What we know we have to do in step 1 of this process is be able to prove that our businesses can stay open and do so in an effective manner so that we can move forward, because we all want to be in phase 4. And quite frankly, I don't want to be in a phase. I just want to be done with being in phases. Until we get to control what phase we're in, we have to follow the rules that are dictated from above in that chain of authority. And so I think that's why you found our organizations in support of your efforts to move us forward in the phases. And we've stayed step in line with you there in the health district. Sometimes to our own detriment with our membership, who wish we could force a little more on that step, but we know the process. We work with our electeds, and our goal is to get there. So I would just I'd throw that out there. I think we're very much on that premise, Commissioner French. We want to be there. We just see the road in front of us as requiring a few steps for us to get there.
Lance, if I could, Commissioner, let me hop in here. I agree with everything you just said, but I do think we obviously hear loud and clear what you all are saying. If we think about like what are the or I want to say even campaigns, what are some of the things that have gone viral that have caught our attention across the country? It's those businesses where they issued balloons with giant tentacles on them that force you to keep 6 feet apart, right? Or they pass out a outfit that you have to put on that requires that you're 6 feet apart, some sort of a hula hoop or some dang thing. And those things have just caught our attention as being a fun and creative way that business has embraced, if you will, this social distancing. Another one I'm kind of mulling about as you were talking, Commissioner French, is recently went to a restaurant in Spokane Valley owned by Chad White, TT's. Yeah, you bet. And one of the things I thought about, my wife and I walked out of there that just impressed on us, the employees had made cartoon-esque kind of caricatures out of their masks. And so there's all kinds of things I think that we could do that would be fun and engaging and unique and Spokane kind of culture to get this message across while having fun and frankly having the potential of having that go viral. And that's one of the things I really like about the work that Visit Spokane has put together, because it's outside the box. It's very creative. It's unique. It's using cartoon characters. It's not your standard mountains and lakes and rivers, right? So I think we definitely can take what you guys are suggesting. If you agree there should be a component on this, but that it should be something that's compelling and entertaining, if you will. I think there's something that we could do with this that would be maybe a little snazzy or a little more eye-catching, but still accomplish what I think GSI is attempting to do in that consumer confidence. Just a thought.
Carrie, do you want to weigh in here?
No,
Okay.
I'm not gonna weigh in.
Okay.
I think honestly what Mark was just saying, I think is really important. I like his ideas and what he just spoke about what really captures the attention of people. I think they're all mindful of what the commissioners want to do going forward. But the other part of this is the constraints that we're under currently, and maybe that's what you're looking for is a plan as we move into the phases as well.
Right. Okay. So, well, thank you very much. This is exactly what we were looking for in terms of an education about the mechanics and the structure about the proposal. So again, so we just got it today. So let us go through it here, and we will be talking about it, I'm sure, tomorrow. And we know that time is of the essence, so we will try and get something pumped out here. It might end up, well, I don't want to second guess what the board's going to do, but we will start going through this and seeing what we can do to get some funds released back into the business community. Obviously, we've already cut some money loose for the PP&Es, and there's going to be a lot more coming in terms of support for the business. Let's just figure out how we're going to do that. So unless there's any other parting comments from Josh or Mary, you've said it all. Okay. So thank you very much. We will go through this and then we'll be back with you to try and develop this and get us to the next phase.
Thank you. We'll follow up with the information on the Small Business Grant Program, and if we can be of help to any of you with more details, just let us know. We're all here. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
While we've got you guys, I just want to say thank you for the support on the PPE as well. That was a huge step for us to get that through and be able to have that tool available to businesses in Spokane County. So thank you.
You bet. You bet.
Yep.
Take care.
Okay, so
Tony, Cindy.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Good. All right, so you guys got my samples that I dropped off earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, these here? Yeah.
So there's one thicker, big one with there's some metal on top. Yeah, that one. Thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Could you model that for us?
Come on, Vanna.
Come on,
You're
Vanna.
a squirrel.
Just see you walk up and down.
Get closer to the camera so Mary and I can see it, Jerry.
Are you going to buy a vowel?
I win a trip.
So
Okay, so
what's
some elasticity in the ears, but not a lot. So I mean, if your ears are set far back in your head, you're pretty much toast, aren't you?
And what's the
Won't sell well in Deer Park.
Yeah.
Tony, what's the difference in the two between the lighter and the dark?
So yeah, so the lighter one is $3.42 a piece. The darker ones are the ones used by the White House. And Al, I thought the same thing when I first put it on. It was a little small, but after a couple uses, it stretches out a little bit. It's just like a cotton shirt or something. It just fits to whatever shape you're going to be in. So it feels tight at first, and that one is $1.54, so less than half the price.
The dark blue.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah.
And then did you, I left some samples last week of the ones from K&L Manufacturing that are locally produced.
I'm not even touching that, Jerry. Wow.
It's testing me.
Give them a few minutes, Cindy. They usually got to get it out of their system.
I'm getting more used to these calls. I'll get the rhythm here pretty soon.
Are you guys still here? No. So, what do you think? Mary, Josh?
But obviously we can't tell from here, so.
I mean, what were the two price? You said three what, Tony?
So, does anybody have Cindy's
Yes,
sample that she dropped off last week?
Over the head.
I mean, essentially what I was going to get at, I mean, $3 something versus $1 something, I mean, is a big difference. Are you confident the ones that are $1 something are going to hold up? Or do you think, are they $1 because they're really cheap and they're going to fall apart? I mean,
Actually, looking at the ones that the ones that are $1, I can tell you that they're all double stitched. It's not single stitched, and it feels like it's a double fabric. It's not a single.
It's nice.
It is a double fabric, so it's actually well made. It's not a bad mask.
Okay, what about the more expensive one?
Which one does Carrie have versus which one Jerry has?
Well, this one fits over. This is the double one that fits over your head.
Yeah.
So you can go
Goes
like
over your
this,
head,
and you can leave it down, and then you take this and you put it over your.
That's not how you wear it. Jerry.
Oh, I got it the wrong way. I got it the wrong way. It goes like this.
Do it again. Do it again. Let's see it again.
This goes over your head this way.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
That goes up there.
Sorry.
Keep
I
going.
did not know you
Up
were
over
serious.
your eyes.
There you go. It goes like this.
And that one's got the metal on top, so that
Yeah, it's got the
glasses
metal
don't
nose
get
brace.
crushed.
He's just
Okay.
The mask that Jerry has does not come with instructions, as he's demonstrated.
God.
Yeah.
The advanced.
And so how much is the one that Jerry's got on right now?
$3.42.
That's the 342 one. Okay, so now put the other.
See, I like these.
Put the other one on.
I don't want to try it again.
We'll try this one on.
This doesn't
Hand.
this doesn't have the metal in it.
Okay.
It works well.
Okay, so
So now we can't see him.
yeah, now I see Al. Which
Yeah,
one
you
is
need to go
Al
back to
wearing?
Jerry.
I'm over here.
He's got
What?
this.
What are you wearing?
Well, it's
Yeah, jeez.
blue
Okay.
jean. No.
That's
Actually,
$1.
I think I'm wearing the dollar mask.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I have on.
Yeah, it's a dollar mask.
Okay, so hang on. The camera's slowly working its way back to Jerry here.
This is the dollar.
And the dollar one just goes over the ears, correct? Not over your whole head like the other one?
Well, and it covers your mouth too.
Okay.
It's very similar to this one that I think Gil brought in, which is, I've washed this twice, and it's substantial.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same as this one. This one might be a little better than this
Those,
one.
I like the ones that,
Yeah.
that you've got on.
You know, I'm more apt to say go with the cheaper one. Honestly, it just goes over your ears, so you don't have to put it over your hair. There's no concern that you're gonna mess your hair putting it over your head. I think when you just loop them around the ears, that's easier to put on rather than slipping something over your whole head. I mean, I think people are more used to wearing the ones that just go over your ears anyway. So I think that style is more common. So
The other cool thing about those is they're also, so they come in packs of 5, and on the front, I'm not sure if you guys saw that before you ripped the package apart, but each pack of 5 has directions on how many times you can wash it, shows what it's made of. So I haven't found that on any other
Machine
mask
wash
setup
for
either.
15 times. Don't use bleach.
Yep.
15.
You ingest the bleach, don't you?
So those
Here's
masks,
how this conspiracy start, Jerry.
those masks then at $1.54, we figured those masks would be a 30-day supply if you gave each employee 2. Now, they come in packs of 5, so ideally we can't single out those masks because I'd like to keep, I think Tony would like to keep them in the packages, and so, you know, you kind of estimate, but in general, it would supply a business with around 30 days worth of masks, potentially for their employees, a couple employees, which would match about what we're doing with the sanitizer and the cleaner and some other disposable masks. We figure about a 30-day supply is kind of that timeline of we're getting them. There is one more mask option. I brought it in last week, but I just want to make sure that we give an opportunity to K&L Manufacturing, that's a local manufacturer, that's willing to do the mask for us. It's $4.50. It's a much more substantial mask. It would probably last the rest of the year. And it's a tied one, similar to the style that Jerry was wearing. But I just want to make sure you all knew about it in case it's ever asked by K&L that was one of the options too. But if you, for the $1.54 mask, it kind of matches the temporary nature of the supply that we're giving the businesses, which is about a 30-day. And then, you know, for a substantial, obviously a substantial amount more investment, you could do a $4.50 mask that's locally manufactured, and we could obviously have it. The supply issue is not a deal, I don't think, because Tony's been able to confirm that we can get all of these masks by the 26th of June. So that price difference doesn't then take into account any supply issues at all. It's just purely a cost and quality difference.
Okay. So what did you have for a quantity on the face mask, the cloth mask? Either Tony or Cindy?
200,000.
Okay. So what would be the pleasure of the board? All of a sudden, everything went away.
Just Tony showing the money.
Oh, yeah.
All good purchasing directors do that.
So Mary?
So I think, you know, I'm probably inclined to go with the less expensive mask, just to, you know, we can buy a lot more for the money. So that's probably where I'm at.
Okay, Josh?
I'm gonna keep.
I agree that I would probably lean towards the lesser cost on those, and kind of see how well they hold up.
Right, because we can always choose to purchase, change who we purchase from, if those don't seem to work out.
Yeah.
So then,
What are you thinking, Al?
I think the lesser price ones are just fine. I would have no problem going with those. Do we, are we comfortable just authorizing Tony to move forward with 200 masks?
200,000.
Anybody object?
Well, actually, yeah, no. Is it 200,000 masks or is it $200,000 to purchase whatever quantity of masks that buys?
200,000 masks,
Okay.
$335,412, including
Okay.
tax.
Got it.
Okay. I don't know.
And then there are some other
motion on this, so.
Put a motion simply because ultimately down the road, there'll be some auditing.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So Josh, you want to make a motion to authorize the purchasing of 200,000 masks?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the disbursement of CARES dollars to purchase 200,000 cloth masks from Zome Apparel, as presented by Tony Hall today.
I will second that.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's okay, the ayes have it.
There you go.
There you go.
We do have some
All right.
additional asks for you, since I love to come into your meetings and ask for money. This is becoming quite a fun habit.
Yeah. So
Gentlemen.
one item that we wanted to talk with you guys with, just real quick, we wanted to possibly present this to you guys. Instead of buying bulk gloves, we buy bulk cleaning solution from Dryfly. And they're the exact same price as the hand sanitizer from Present Enterprises. So we're also giving quite a bit of local business to Dryfly Distillery. But instead of gloves, we would be doing a cleaning solution. What do you guys think about that?
So just instead of gloves, people just would sanitize their hands more often, in theory?
Or disinfect surfaces more often.
Okay.
This is cleaning wipes are, there was, oh gosh, I can't remember who did the survey, one of our local municipalities or whatnot, and even Gil was talking about what the county has been requesting for supplies, and cleaning wipes have been the top requested item for PPE, and we're noticing that across the board. They're fairly expensive to procure, and in this aspect, we are able to get a local business some funding for a program for us, and then they basically take the hand sanitizer and take the glycerin out and make a cleaning solution. So this would kind of satisfy two priorities: is one, keeping frequently touched surfaces clean, and in the absence of being able to procure gloves, that helps with that initiative as well. We've got the hand sanitizer, but we're also giving businesses a cleaning solution, which we know is one of the highest asked pieces. Now, they prefer wipes because it's way easier to use, but that's just so much more expensive. And so being able to provide a gallon of cleaning solution that they can just spray on, and that has been, it's 80% alcohol. It's a very high quality product that will help kill the germs on high touch surfaces. So this was thought to present to you as basically as a supplement to the gloves. Gloves are just getting more and more expensive every day and harder to find.
So I thought.
Yeah, that was going to be my point. Is gloves are getting closer to $10 or 10 cents per glove. The ones that I had quoted are now like a 6 to 8 week lead time, and it's just kind of out of control with the glove market.
So Tony, when we were talking about this last week, I thought we were getting the hand sanitizer from the outfit in Cheney, and so did they have a cheaper price than Dryfly did?
So Dryfly actually came back, and I had him quote both the hand sanitizer and the cleaning solution, and dry fly came in at the same dollar amount as Present Enterprises. So it'd be a really good way to kind of split this into two local companies. One does the hand sanitizer, one does the cleaning solution,
Okay,
and it's still same price either way.
okay. So we're supporting two local businesses instead of just one.
Correct.
And this would completely replace the glove order? It's not that we're just decreasing the glove, it's totally replacing the glove order?
That's up to you guys. I mean, we can order a small amount of gloves, but at this point, they're going to be kind of, like I said last week, like the deli worker plastic gloves, and they're not going to be here until at least the beginning of next month.
Okay.
Okay. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Well, I'm okay with doing the cleaning solution as well. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't still try to figure out gloves just so we get some on order for the future.
We have disposable masks that are not going to be delivered until July. And so we are thinking of doing a secondary distribution in July. And if it was just the masks, we felt that that would still be a worthy cause, and it could fill in some gaps with some businesses that were not able to come get any, or nonprofits that needed some additional masks or something like that. So we could order some gloves now, and we would get some potentially by Wednesday, Thursday of distribution week, some of the restaurant quality one-time use gloves. And then we could look at getting some nitrile gloves to come in about the same time, so we could do another distribution of gloves and disposable masks at the end of July.
I guess that's more what I'm thinking, is just to get them and have them have the right kind that people are going to really use and want to use, but just have them at a different time. If they want them, they're going to be able to come pick them up. So I would say just get them for the future. If it times out with the other, that's great.
And we do
Okay,
have
so you guys are kind of ordering both then? Is that what you're saying, Mary? So do the cleaning solution.
I don't know about the other.
Gloves. Okay. Okay.
I think we would see a demand for both. I'm comfortable with purchasing the gloves and the sanitizer.
Okay.
What do you think, Al?
Yeah, so the only thing I need then is a motion authorizing the purchasing of the sanitizer from Dry Fly then, because we already have a purchase on the other stuff from Cheney.
Yeah.
So, and we already got the gloves approved. So
Yep.
the only thing we'd have is the additional purchase for Dry Fly.
All right.
And then while we're at it, so there's two more items. For the cleaning solution, do you guys want to provide a spray bottle, and then for the hand sanitizer, a pump bottle? So it's just the type of lid it has on it. So it's combined about $57,000 to do that, or do you just want to provide the bulk hand sanitizer and cleaning solution and have the companies decide how they would like to disperse it?
I guess, Cindy, as you've talked about this, what do you think?
My priority would be to, if I were to choose one or the other, I would do the pump bottle for the hand sanitizer, because I think that that's easier to use. They can just put the gallon on a counter and use that for customers and or employees with the pump on it. The cleaning solution, like Tony and I were talking about, lots of businesses probably have some empty spray bottles or
Windex.
However they want to use that, they can put it into something cheaper. But the pump is probably going to be most useful to the end user when they get that gallon of hand sanitizer.
Okay.
So would the request there be 15,000 bottle pumps then?
Yes, at $2 a piece with tax,
Okay.
and so he's got it there at $32,670.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the authorization of using CARES dollars to purchase a cleaning solution from Dry Fly, distillery in the quantity of 15,000 gallons, and the purchase of pump bottles from present day in the quantity of 15,000 pumps.
I second that.
Got a motion and a second, then Mary.
Just clarify. So it's just a cap that's going on the bottle, right? It's not
Correct.
in its own bottle. It's
Correct. It's a pump cap that goes on top. Take off the cap, put the pump on. Yeah.
perfect.
All right.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect motion passed unanimously. Then, anything else, Tony?
I mean, if we're here and we're working through this, we might as well just go through the rest of this list if you guys have time, and we can get this over with. Kids masks for daycares.
I know we've got Jason on the Harvest folks on the phone, Second Harvest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the first question, do you guys have time, or should we do this another day?
Well, why don't we come back and try and tackle the rest of this tomorrow? Because we've got Jason from Second Harvest been waiting on the phone, and we need to wrap him up too. So let us deal with that. We'll come back, finish the rest of this up with you, Tony. Is that all right?
Yep, that works for me. Let's plan on tomorrow. I'll get with Gina.
And Tony, you want to put on our list for tomorrow to have that marketing discussion too? I don't know if you were going to put that on your agenda for today, but I haven't had a chance to talk to the commissioners about our conversation this morning.
Yep, it's on my list here, Jared. Yeah, line item 30.
Well, and I will say too, the other thing we need to talk about is distribution, because I know the health district's already getting calls. I think GSI has been getting calls. And so we need to figure out what that is. So that way then everyone has a clear understanding of what that's going to look like and how it's going to work.
We'll have a press release out by Thursday. I'll reach out to Amelia right now or not Amelia, but Amanda with the regional health district. I'll email her right now. So they have some verbiage that they can email back out until we get the press release out on the details.
Because I know they're getting phone calls. So.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I'll give Amanda a quick call.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Cindy, I lined us up for next Wednesday to be the Facebook Live guest for the health district. So perfect. That's Wednesday, the 24th. So somebody needs to put that on their calendar to be a TV star that day.
Okay.
Howdy.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and just to let you guys know, we're meeting every day at 11, this project team. So if you guys have anything, just shoot us an email. We're meeting daily.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks.
All right. So now, Jason, are you still with us? There you are.
I'm here.
All right. So we got your letter for June 9th, and we appreciate the information, but it did create more questions for us.
Okay.
So we wanted to try and get this resolved so that we could get some money to you. So with the initial letter you sent us on May 28th, we talked about that last week, and then you submitted the letter of June 9th. And so are there overlaps? Have you combined June or May 28th into the June 9th letter? Or are they two separate requests?
Sure.
So provide us a little bit clarity around the June 9th letter.
Oh, you bet. Thanks. And, and it's, we've been doing our best to try to trace the breadcrumbs along this conversation. And it's, when we started, it was the ECC was kind of counseling us, and they had helped us, they were trying to help us meet a transportation need, which is what led to the original letter. And then when we had the opportunity to talk last week, we'd heard that just kind of describing our unmet needs in general and kind of going back to the original ECC meeting where I said we might need $5 to $7 million of food. So for us, the letter on the 9th was just trying to summarize all that and into a kind of a menu of unmet needs that we're trying to tackle. And based on the conversation last week, we thought there was some openness to help maybe tackle some of that food purchasing. So we put that in there. But my view is it's kind of a line item thing, and what pieces make sense to you all as you're stewarding that. I just know we have a huge increase in demand that's way over anything we did last year. So we're just trying to close those gaps.
So, one question.
Yeah.
Is, so is the food that you're talking about here covering just Second Harvest, or there's another food bank as well? Are you two coordinating with each other, or should we be looking at another request from them in addition to this?
Yeah, so we have, I think you might be referring to Northwest Harvest, which is
Right.
a statewide organization, and we're collaborating with them on a project to distribute emergency food boxes with WSDA. So that's all coordinated. We're not doing anything on a county by county basis with Northwest, so I don't know what their plans are locally.
Okay, so should we be expecting a request from them?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to them about that, Al, so I'm not sure what their plans are. My understanding is they are only distributing to 13 counties in central and western Washington right now. That was the last message they shared, so I don't think they would be unless they change their plans, but that's their stated, as of last week, that's what their CEO told me. They're just focusing on 13 counties in the middle of the state and western Washington.
Okay.
I don't think you will, but I mean, I'm happy to ask him. So,
Mary?
So then, Jason, with what you're asking for, then does that help get out to the other food pantries like the Valley Partners and Down in Rock?
absolutely.
All those.
Yep, and that's exactly what we would do is, well, we're getting a lot of perishable food from USDA and like the CFAP program.
Right, that's what I saw in your first letter. You talked about that as the
Yeah. So though that's looking a little lumpier than we originally thought it would be, I think it may ebb and flow. But we still have this huge need to be able to do drive-through distributions and to support the neighborhood pantries. And so it's exactly that. It's Salvation Army, it's Deer Park, it's Spokane Valley Partners. They're our first line of defense, and that's who we would allocate basically they would all get first dibs on this food. And then if there's anything left, we would distribute it through like our mobile markets or mass distribution to reach other pockets. And we even do that in partnership with neighborhood pantries, kind of give them more capacity when they need it, or maybe even some school distributions as we talked about last week too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because we're looking at some of the school districts with the summer food programs, but that doesn't work on the weekends. I know like Valley Partners, Central Valley and East Valley on the weekends. And then it's another nonprofit that works with you guys for District 81 kids on the weekends.
Yep, correct.
So this would help with that, support that as well if need be.
For sure. And we'd even be willing to, if they want to try to tailor some of those orders. Buying food is pretty challenging, so it might be what can we get more than what we want, but we would certainly do our best to tailor it if we could. If they have specific needs for kids, we'd be glad to look at that.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
I'm still listening. I just got to let the dog in. So up and down.
Josh?
So I guess my question is for Carrie. So does this have to be on a reimbursement basis, or can a check be cut to Second Harvest?
It's Josh, it again would be a cost reimbursement contract. We would contract with Second Harvest. Anything they spent, then they would bill to my office and we would reimburse them.
Okay, so does that work for you, Jason? Can you make that work? Do you have the money in order to do that?
We can do that. We can use our reserves to float the purchases and to wait for reimbursement. So thank you for checking on that. Yeah. And there is one thing I would note on the letter that I just learned today. We could remove the line item for PPE. WSDA just told us today that they bought a large amount of gloves and masks that they're going to send out for food pantries. So we'd no longer need that.
So Jason, is that the $50,000 item in there?
Yes, Carrie, that's that one.
Is that one?
Yep. Yeah, I just learned that a couple hours ago. So that was,
Good news.
yeah, glad to share that.
So I know Commissioner French was doing some math earlier on the money that we had used from CDBG for food security and trying to calculate that into the S. So Al, where are we at then?
So if you take the $2,189,500 request on the June 9th, you subtract from that the $145,644 allocation we made out of CDBG funds. That would have gotten us down to $2,043,856, and then taking off the other $50,000 gets us to $1,993,856. So that would be the adjusted request based upon the June 9th letter. Would be $1,993,856.
Do we know that all of those CDBG dollars will be going to Second Harvest though? Or will they be going somewhere else potentially, or a portion of it going somewhere else?
I think we said that we wanted it to go to Second Harvest, but
we said just food security. We didn't specify what organization.
Well, yeah, Mary.
So I think that's part of what the committee put together, is that they make that determination. And so some of that can go to like Valley Partners and some of these other little food, banks as well, other than just Second Harvest. So that's part of how they help with those. So I don't know what the committee determined. We just know the percentages, and because I know like on the rental assistance, it can go to SNAP, it could go to Family Promise, it can go to different organizations. So we just know what the general bucket is for the CDBG fund. So we don't know that it's all going to Second Harvest.
When I talked to Kathleen last week, she indicated that this has not been fully, the recommendation hasn't come out of the advisory board to you, because it's ultimately the board's decision of how this $146,000 is going to be spent. They're waiting for the HUD final rules before they make the recommendation through committee. So again, because one of the things I wanted to find out before we had the meeting today is if the full amount was going to be awarded.
So one of the things we could do, if you wanted to, is take the $2,189,500, reduce it by the $50,000 that we don't need for the PP&Es, go ahead and approve for spending. That would be $2,139,500, and since it's on a reimbursement basis, they're just going to be reimbursed for whatever they spend with regard to food security. That way we're covered, and then we don't have to wait for the CDBG board to figure out what they're going to do.
And I would say in that resolution, we would say up to that amount.
Up to that amount, yeah.
Or we could amend it, keeping in mind what you want to approve, and reduce it by whatever amount that they are awarded through the other.
Yeah. Okay. You guys okay?
I am.
Now just need a motion.
All right. So do either of you desire, do you want me to include something in the motion regarding altering that number based on the amount of the CDBG dollars that are allocated to Second Harvest, or no?
Well, if it's about food security.
It's such a small amount.
Yeah, I was thinking the same way.
I'd say just go ahead and do it.
Okay. All right. Mr. Chair, I move to approve and authorize using using CARES dollars on a reimbursement basis of up to $2,139,500 for Second Harvest Food Bank as laid out in their proposal to the Board of County Commissioners dated on June 9th, 2020.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All right, that does it. Congratulations, you're walking out with $2 million more.
No, thank you.
Very excited, Jason.
Hungry people and kids, thank you. Much
Yeah.
appreciated.
It goes to an amazing cause. Thank you for everything you're doing, Jason.
Thanks for being a part of it. Well,
Keep our community
you're done.
fed.
You got to be getting tired too.
Don't eat it all in one meal.
All right, I'll try not to.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Very good.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
I just had one thing to answer a question she had earlier on that.
Okay, so Mary, Jim has got an answer for you.
Yeah, Commissioner Cutie, I checked the contract that Jim Amacio did and Larry Haskell approved on the Roy Cogan matter, and it is 2 years, as you mentioned, and it allows termination on 30 days notice by either side, and it also involves QTAC Rock as the counsel. As I think Commissioner French, it's pretty close to what Commissioner French and I said earlier, has pointed out that historically, doesn't mean it has to be in the future, but historically, Mr. Cogan's been involved with the county, probably respectfully before you or I or Commissioner Kearns were here, even before Commissioner French was here, I think.
Maybe before Josh was born.
I wasn't going to say it, but I knew we were all thinking it.
With Perkins Coie and stuff, so.
Right,
yeah.
right, so, yeah.
Okay.
It's been a long time, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mary, can you update us on your noon lunch meeting?
I would say it's probably an executive session.
Okay.
Okay, so any other business before we go into executive session? Seeing
To
none.
discuss the performance of a public employee, right?
Yeah, right. So
sounds good.
We'll go into an executive session for the purposes of evaluating the performance of a public employee. And we'll be in executive session for approximately, 15 minutes?
I would say 10.
Okay, 10 minutes. It is now 4:53. We'll be into executive session until 6:03.
Okay, 5?
5:03.
5:03.
Yeah.
5:03. And
I
no
would say
decision will be made.
I would just have it be the three of us, and if we need Jim Kaufman to be in the room.
Okay, so it'd just be 3 commissioners and Jim Kaufman, and that'll be it. Okay? And when we're done with the executive session, we're done for the day.
After you're done, can I talk to you about this?
I'd say just Gina